Hey, let's start the show.
It's September 12th, 2013. Welcome to This Is Only a Test, the official podcast of Tested.com. I'm Will Smith, seated two people to my left. Back on the show, Gary Whitta.
Hello.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
And between Gary and me, Norman Chan.
I see you tried to mix it up there.
I mixed it up a little bit.
I like that.
I know.
Did you have a stand-in, a backup in place for me? Because you messaged me yesterday about whether or not I wanted to come in. And then I didn't see it, and I didn't get back to you. So like as early as
there was some talk
a couple of hours ago, you didn't know if I was even coming in, and I'm notoriously unreliable these days.
Yeah, so it is true.
You always have to have someone on deck, I presume.
You know, you'd think that we would do that if we were that well organized, but the stand-in was a paper cutout of Brad Shoemaker.
So
we were just going to put a piece of foam core up with Brad's picture on it, and then I have a soundboard that's things Brad says.
Well, it's a good thing I came in because I hear that.
Hey, how's it going with Dota 2?
I've heard tell that when you two guys
Stop
try to do
jungling.
it just on yourselves without a third person, whoever it is, that it can be a little rough.
It's because we hate
geometry.
each other.
Yeah.
No
chemistry.
triangles.
No.
There's no chemistry between the two of you.
Oh, it's math.
You need that third person, that buffer.
It's like legs. Two is no good. You need three.
Who's your favorite third chair?
I heard that Jeremy is Norm's favorite third chair.
Jeremy is not my favorite non-Gary third chair.
Oh, no, you can't. No, that's not what you said last week.
No, exactly what I said last week.
Jeremy is good.
And I said, Jeremy, you're my favorite.
Jeremy used to do the Game Theory podcast with me and Colin Campbell.
I love that.
He was great.
We had a reunion.
Yeah.
Except for I don't think we had Jeremy. We just had you and Colin.
No.
We should have you and Jeremy and Colin sometime.
Yeah.
Colin's just down the street now, isn't he?
If only there were some special event coming up that would allow for a lot of different guests to come in and out, that would be the perfect opportunity to do something like that.
You mean like a podcast that goes for longer than our already too long 2 and 3 hour podcast?
I don't think it's too long with 2 hours.
I think 2 hours is a good length.
But we always go over.
Fairly regularly.
It's really under 2 hours.
Well, if we don't go over, people will complain.
Well, what has people complaining ever stopped us from doing anything? Yeah, I think it's time to mention, Oktoberkast is coming.
Yeah, I mean,
we just confirmed
next month now.
This morning.
Have we confirmed?
Gary, do you want to do Oktoberkast?
Sure, why not?
Hey, Norm, what do you think about Oktoberkast?
Sounds good.
Hey, Will, do you want to do Oktoberkast? Oh, yes, Will, I'd love to do Oktober. Yeah, okay, I think it's done. We're in.
What would all the kids do without us?
It's a whole new generation of kids this year, right? They're 1 year older, or maybe it's for the next generation?
For the kids. I don't know. So
last year's kids got enough.
Details will come. We will have more details about Oktoberkast.
Can't confirm it will be in October.
It will, maybe. It might be in November, but it seems like October is looking pretty good right now.
Hey, Will, maybe we should do 2 Oktobercasts a year.
I still think that's a good idea, but now I have a kid. There's no chance.
No.
That
was never
way too much.
You need a full year.
You need to recover.
When you first mentioned the idea to me the other day, I seriously was.
You were non-committal.
I was very on the fence about it. I was like, do I really? Because if you remember, I just go back and I have a very strong sense memory of just what those last 6 hours are always like.
Oh,
but it was unnecessarily bad last year because the timing window that you suggested from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m.
I didn't suggest that. That was all Chan.
I think listeners know it's your idea. Originally,
it was a terrible
Don't pin that
idea.
shit on me.
No, it was.
You know whose fault it never is, Gary, or whose fault it is? Never Will's.
Funny that.
I will absolutely guarantee you, I was staunchly opposed to starting at 6 p.m.
You suggested it.
You guys are both assholes.
And that's what made it awful.
Everyone remembers where they were the last 6 hours of Oktoberkast.
Oh,
Norm,
God, it was just brutal.
I'm going to read the Gary chat log. Hey, we need to make a go, no-go decision on Oktoberkast soon. Here's the date we're thinking about. Does that work for you? Gary responds 10 minutes later. I'm sorry, 7 hours later. Let me think about it a bit.
It took me 7 hours just to arrive at, let me think about it.
To get the full fortitude.
Well, it's like a video game. You use your special power, and then you need a recharge time. And the recharge time it takes for Oktoberkast is a full year.
Although I'm thinking, Will, for both you and I,
yeah,
that having grown in the last year, a lot more accustomed to doing without sleep, maybe we're better conditioned now.
If I can get one good night's sleep before,
yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. I can sleep through anything. I am a like the baby when she was sleeping in the same room as us. I could sleep through that. When she's sick, I sleep through that. I'm a monster. Gina has to kick me when she wants me to get up and get the baby in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So I don't have any problem sleeping. I mean, it's a little disrupted, but it's pretty easy for me these
I would
days.
say that over the course of the last year, I've grown accustomed to just dealing with better now. But the first 6 or 9 months were rough. It was
But never at 24 hours though.
never
with the baby.
Well,
he did 24 hours of Oktobercast while the baby was
and
the worst of the worst.
I just came back from a trip to Europe where, because of the way the flight connections worked out, I was up for something like 36 hours.
Goodness.
And that was, what happens is you eventually hit that wall where everything kind of resets and you're alert and awake again, but you don't realize how desperately you need to sleep.
So the thing that happens to me after Oktobercast every year is I come after the show and I go back and I sit down. You get done and you're really cranked up, and then like I sit down and start churning out the video and audio files, which takes a fair amount of time. And usually by the time I have that stuff good enough to make it through the next day, I'm wide ass awake. It was real bad.
healthy.
Look,
it wasn't good at all.
I'm not looking
through.
forward to it, but
I am.
The
It's fun.
audience.
We get to see
expects
our
it.
friends.
Yeah, we always have a lot.
I'm not looking forward to the end of it.
No, the last few hours are. I don't care. Like, I think what we should do for our own sake is book some really good guests for the last quarter of it.
I thought we booked pretty good guests last year for the last
we
quarter.
did.
We had Adam Savage. We had
Ryan Block and
Right.
some interesting people came in, but
Yeah.
like.
Gladstone.
I got nothing. Yeah, I got nothing for him by that time.
You're the tank. Well, you cleared out last year. You had a sick baby.
I did, and in a way, it did me a favor because I don't know if I would have made the last couple of.
Yeah, you were
hours. I
starting
was
to drag
really,
pretty hard.
Really
Did you
Did you
struggling.
drive home?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
had to.
he
Oh my
did.
goodness.
It was a bad
But I
idea.
had the adrenaline rush of like sick baby at home that kind of gave me that boost.
I had to bail out of the last Dadcast at the last minute because I had a sick baby at home. I can't imagine how damaging like that whole process of getting
Well,
home to Chunder City and then having to go to the doctor and have them judge you.
It's too early to reveal anything just yet, but
There's nothing to reveal just yet.
We've discussed some possible tweaks and
Expect
ideas,
the unexpected.
changes to the format that might make it a little more interesting and more doable as well.
Jeff Green wanted us to do a fully nude Oktobercast.
He was the best guest last year. He was so good
The Skull Bong.
with the pencils.
He's
the
all.
Skull
I mean,
Bong,
he's
the
always the
Doritos,
highlight.
the Mountain Dew.
Oh my goodness.
He's always the
just
highlight.
thinking about last year.
Yeah.
Amped you up for this
Didn't
year.
he follow? Was he before or after Adam?
He was out.
I don't
after.
remember.
He
It's
had
all
to
about-
follow a
after.
MythBuster. So I mean, that's pretty good. And he
Jeff,
held strong.
Jeff, we need to schedule like for whenever it is that we're hitting the wall and we feel we can't go on.
I think
Jeff
let's-
is always the morale booster that gives us that extra push towards the finish line.
The one thing I will say is that last year I don't think we did enough audience interaction stuff. Like we didn't take up enough calls in the middle of the night. We
Right.
didn't do.
I enjoyed the calls last time.
like reading
for the first
stuff.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we'll definitely do more of that stuff. I know.
Take some
like
calls.
that was one piece of feedback we got from everyone that was like, "Hey, we would really like to have more chance to talk
It's a
to you
morale
guys when
booster
you're
to be
broken."
reminded that there actually are people out there
Yeah.
watching this thing
When-
and perhaps even enjoying it.
When there's some dude in Sweden that sees the sun and we're in the darkest part of night,
Yeah.
there's nothing better than to hear from them that there is still a sun out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Oktobercast. I don't think we're going to break Joey again this year. The push-up challenge, wonderful though it was, I think had some unexpected side effects.
Well, we've got
Brought a lot of money in for
again,
charity.
I think
It did bring
we've already
guns for
got
kids.
some interesting ideas for things that might
yeah,
might keep it fresh.
more to come soon. Think about the latter half of October, not the first half of October.
Yeah,
That's what I would say.
closer to Halloween.
Yeah,
The witching hours.
closer to Halloween is
Yeah.
a good time.
Yeah.
So my breakfast routine lately has been completely revolutionized.
Are you eating breakfast?
I eat breakfast every day.
I don't eat breakfast every
You
day.
should eat breakfast. We were talking about this earlier. It's
My
shocking.
breakfast is liquids.
You should start with a
all a
good
mistake.
hearty meal.
Coconut water in the morning.
That's
that's
not
terrible.
food.
That's nothing.
No, coconut water is delicious. It's
Well, it may very well be, but
so
I don't
many
think it has much
electrolytes
nutritional
and
value.
So
Yeah.
much nutritional value. Potassium, more potassium than bananas.
Yeah, but there's no calories. There's nothing in it
It's
to like
60 calories.
I'm gonna
fuel
just,
you through the day.
I'm
well, no,
just,
it doesn't need to fuel me through the day. It fuels me through, 11:30 a.m.
I'm gonna
Yeah, but
let
this
you
is why
guys in the comments
This is why you
take
always
care
have
of this
this
one.
lunchtime type crash, and why so many podcasts are nothing but you complaining about how
That's
hungry
why I
you
had
are.
beef jerky just now.
Well, that again, you got to get some protein in there.
Protein's very
Protein's important. Fat's good too. Did you know that fat is very important for childhood brain development?
Yeah.
If kids don't get enough fat, then they end up dimmer.
I also read a story this week that said the larger your testicles are, the more likely you are to have strong paternal instincts.
No. It's the smaller you are, the more likely you are to have strong paternal
instincts. No, it was the other way around.
No. Huge testicles.
We should get this straight.
Yeah, it's very important.
This was
Before I weigh myself, it's very important.
How large is your scrotum?
Crotch grabs all around.
So I've been testing an immersion circulator.
What is that?
It's a sous vide machine.
Okay.
Is this the? It's not the
Sancerre.
What do you sous vide for breakfast?
Eggs.
So isn't that just like poaching eggs?
You poach the eggs in the shell at 65 degrees Celsius. I put them in the morning right when I get up. I go get in the shower.
So you crack the egg and it comes out like a poached egg?
You crack the egg in the from the shell and it just pours out like a poached egg.
That sounds fantastic.
It is on top of an English muffin or a piece of like sourdough toast or whatever.
Like a good, because the eggs often need a lot of cleanup, and whether you scramble them or fry them or whatever. I like a nice poached egg, but even a poached egg can be a hassle.
I will tell you the secret of poached eggs at home without using the immersion circulator. Get a nonstick skillet, a wide flat pan, that can hold 2.5 or 3 inches of water. Put that much water in it, enough to cover an egg. Crack your eggs into like a 1 cup measuring scoop, and put them, just set them into the water, tilt it, kind of pour them in gently so they don't spill out everywhere. From the time you put the first one in until the time you take the first one out should be 3 minutes. You can scoop it with like a spatula, like a rubber spatula or something, so it scrapes off. Because the thing that's nice about this is they stick to the bottom of the pan and they don't move around a ton.
Yeah.
3 minutes gives you perfectly cooked whites, good yolks. You scoop it out, put it on your toast, whatever, you're done.
I do like a nice poached egg. I think it's my favorite preparation of an egg.
Really?
Poaching is
fried eggs.
I like a fried egg as well, but a fried egg, there's so much variation between a good one and a bad one.
Yeah, bad fried egg's real bad.
It's easier to rely on a poached egg coming out well.
I made duck eggs this weekend.
Yeah,
they're way too rich to eat on a day-to-day basis. Like 3 bites of duck egg is good. 10 bites of duck egg is too much. It was delicious though.
How do you get 10 bites of duck egg?
I got a dozen duck eggs.
You should start eating eggs in the morning, Norm.
Eggs are good for you.
I think you would find that your day
I used to fry eggs in the morning.
You're a growing boy. That fat's good for your brain development.
If you're super lazy, even just do this: hard boil a dozen eggs at the start of the week.
I hate hard-boiled eggs.
Oh well, then that's not going to help.
We talked about this.
He does hate hard-boiled eggs.
Or gross.
Oh, I like a good.
No, they're terrific.
Nothing wrong with a hard-boiled
flaky,
egg.
powdery.
Probably my 4th favorite form of egg.
Fried eggs. Fried eggs with a little bit of soy sauce.
I like a poach, a good scramble, a sunny side up, and then a hard boil.
Yeah.
So some stuff happened yesterday. We're recording this on Wednesday, so you're hearing it 2 days ago for you guys at home.
Oh, so this doesn't go out till tomorrow.
This doesn't go out until
tomorrow. But today
is their yesterday, but today for them is our tomorrow.
I'm confused.
Yesterday for us is 2 days ago for them, and yesterday for the people yesterday is 2 days from today.
All right, that's much simpler.
You got it?
Yeah.
You're good. Tuesday.
All right.
Never forget.
Tuesday, Apple had a special event at their Cupertino campus.
Yes.
In the small amphitheater. Oh, we should probably apologize for the jackhammering.
Do you think people can hear that out there?
I'm absolutely positive
I
they
can
can
barely
hear it.
There's a construction crew out there with a pneumatic drill.
They're putting lofts in next door, I think, and they're jackhammering up the power.
It's very
mains.
loud and annoying.
Not unlike us.
Yeah, it fits in nicely. So Apple had an event at the special event. Also, if you don't want to hear Apple business, probably just fast forward maybe an hour.
Somebody in the comments will put in a time code that you can zap forward
Good call.
to. But yeah, their annual
iPhone event. They held it at the small theater at Cupertino, which I think is probably the normal place they do this. I can't remember.
It's just their headquarters.
Yeah. Started out with a bunch of stuff that nobody cares about. Apple Store business,
Look at some new
iTunes
Apple
Music
stores.
Festival.
Here's how many iOS devices
blah, blah, blah.
sold.
700 million.
That's great.
There is a very familiar script to these at this point. They show you some new Apple Store they've built. They brag about how many devices and how many apps they've sold and and then they get into
what is it? The Wadsworth constant on YouTube that you can fast forward through 30 seconds of anything to get to the good stuff.
First
minute, third or something. Like Apple keynotes, especially the iPhone one. There's always 20 minutes at the beginning that go make some coffee. or something.
You've got to sit through it.
Talked about iOS 7 stuff, including release date. It's September 18th, which is a week from yesterday.
Yeah,
week from today.
Right.
For us, yesterday for them. Tomorrow for people at the iOS event.
I'm excited about iOS 7.
Wednesday. Yes, next Wednesday. they kind of went down the high points. A lot of stuff that they talked about at WWDC. I've been using it for a fairly long time. At this
how
point.
are you liking it? You've been living with it for a while.
The one complaint I have is that the transitions are a little bit slow. It didn't seem that way at first.
I want to take a look at it on your phone before I leave.
It's because you're on an iPhone 5.
It could be because I'm on an iPhone 5. I don't know if you've retained privileges after the scrotum incident last time.
What?
You're tweeting. I don't know if I can trust you with a Twitter account on a device.
I'll do it under strict supervision.
Okay. I'll let you. I'll hold you.
This is beta 6.
Hey, you have an even better.
GMs are out now. GMs came out yesterday.
I want to mess around with it a little bit.
I haven't updated to the Gold Masters yet.
So GM's Gold Master is what will be released.
Yes.
Next Wednesday to the public, and
Right.
developers have that now to do the final updates.
Yes.
Right. I'm already getting a lot. You see a lot of the apps already doing their pre-iOS 7
they will start
preparation changes.
So there's a bunch of stuff that changes in the apps. People have to support the new keyboard explicitly, it seems like, and stuff like that.
What's the new keyboard? I guess they changed.
It's a little bit
design
smarter.
of it.
Yeah, it looks different. It uses the new kind of color scheme. It's light instead of dark background.
Right. And I'm seeing just a lot of
like
aesthetic.
the dark background.
I'm already seeing a lot of
dark background.
I'm already seeing a lot of app icons getting updated for the new flat design as well.
You'll see that too. The big stuff is the quick access tray that slides up from the bottom that gives you things
center,
like
right?
they have a name for it, but it's volume, playback controls,
flashlight,
Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, flashlight, clock, couple other things. I don't know where I'm
it looks like they packed a lot onto one screen for the command center, but it'll be nice to be able to just get to one touch. A lot of those things you used to have to go through 3 or 4 settings screens before.
It's a lot of the stuff that you had that was like when you double tap the multitasking menu and then swiped over to the right.
Right.
So that
now you just get there.
Now
right
it's
away.
just there on one swipe.
Yeah.
They also broke out multitasking, so it's a completely separate thing now. It works a lot like the old WebOS one did, where you have like cards that show the status of the current
full
window.
Screen,
right?
Yeah, full screen
not
preview.
Pushing up the home screen from the bottom.
And you swipe up to close something. You like push it off the screen. On the iPad, it's 4 fingers. You can still do the 4-finger swipe between the different open apps.
How's the parallax background?
It's unnoticeable. Like it's something that
I want to look at that as
you kind of notice the first time you handle it, and then never
just forget about it.
It's just there. It happens.
It's just a gimmick.
It is.
You say that now. I'm sure it's one of those things. After you see it, you're gonna love it.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, we'll see.
It makes going back to like I picked up Gina's iPhone the other day, and I actually replaced my iPhone because the camera was broken on it, and they gave me one with iOS 6, and it
No
felt
scuffs.
No, it's a brand new version.
Oh my god.
The chamfers.
Yeah,
so sharp, so sharp.
What was it like going back to iOS 6?
It feels really, really old.
Okay.
Like it feels much less movie and dynamic. The new notifications pull down, I actually find myself using. It's still not as good as the one on Android, and the calendar stuff that's on the main home screen is okay, but can't compare to Google.
Do you think it's
now.
going to be jarring for people?
It's
all
going to
the
be
recent
massively
iOS
jarring.
upgrades have had a lot of new features, but it's always essentially kind of looks the same. But this is, as they have said, it's by far the biggest update, certainly visually, that they've ever done.
Especially when you think about the fact that anybody who has an iPhone 4 or newer is going to get a notification that pops up and says, hey, there's a new version of iOS out. Press the button and it's going to update you.
Yeah.
That's going to blow my parents away.
They've always been very proud about the fact that most people
upgrade
on iPhone have the most recent iOS.
Because they have to, basically.
Yeah.
How far back is it supported?
It's
iPhone 4.
4.
iPad 2.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And the iPad and iPhone versions will come out on the same day and date. So it's not like one was delayed.
Oh, usually you wait a little longer for the iPad version.
No, but the rumors
recently.
were that the iPad one was further back in development.
iOS 4,
so
you
this
have
is
to wait.
all your devices will be updated simultaneously. Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
The photos and camera. So a couple other things I noticed. The photos and camera changes. They talked about moments during the keynote yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like I don't like moments at all. It is very disconcerting. It's hard to find your photos.
I got to tell you, I have a massive photo library on my phone, and it's very poorly organized. And sometimes I want to show someone a photo, and it's like a nightmare. I'm scrolling. Is this going to make that any better?
Maybe.
Well, you can zoom out all the way for the year, even.
I don't. It just made it a big mess for me. But
Give me
what
are the 3 things that you like better? What are the 3 things that make this better than the old version?
quick access tray is a huge game changer. Like day to day,
the thing that swipes up.
The
from
thing
the
that swipes up from the bottom.
What do you most commonly find yourself using that for?
Volume and playback for music or podcast or whatever, because it works with podcast stuff. One of the other things they've done, if you listen to non-Apple's to music apps that aren't Apple's music app, they're much better about handling. They seem to be much better about handling background requests to play music now. So it keeps track of the what was playing last, even between like reboots and stuff.
Right.
So if you're using Downcast to listen to a podcast and press play, you have to restart your phone crashes, whatever. You press play when you come back, it's going to pick up where your track left off. That stuff's great.
Okay. What else?
The new camera is actually quite good. The camera app.
Yeah.
I can't imagine ever using the Square photos.
Yeah, that's just an Instagram thing.
But
right?
the way the new design on that's much better. It makes changing things like HDR and turning flash on and off much easier. You can the panoramas seem to work a lot better.
Did they add filters as well?
They added filters. I'm not a filter guy, but that stuff's in there.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, the other stuff, the default mail app seems better. I'm still using Gmail instead.
Do you prefer the general aesthetic? Because when they first unveiled the aesthetic, people were very divided over it.
I liked the Android 4.1 Plus aesthetic. This is very similar to that. I liked it. I am not enough of a design guy to say that I think this one is better, but I don't mind it, and I've become accustomed to it very quickly.
Okay.
They showed AirDrop on the keynote stage yesterday.
I do like AirDrop. I can see
I haven't been able to test that because I don't know anybody else who has iOS 7 around. Right. But I'm going to put that on Gina's phone tonight, I think, so we'll try it out and we'll report back on that in the future. There's a male voice for Siri now. Siri can read Lady Gaga's tweets.
I gotta say,
I think you won this one.
As Norm has pointed out many times.
Yeah.
In a side-by-side comparison between Siri and Google's own voice recognition on the iPhone, it's not even close.
Not even close.
I did a couple of tests side by side, and stuff that Siri would just trip over and get completely wrong, Google Voice would just nail.
And it's useful stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was bummed when I asked Siri to read Will Smith's tweets. It went with Will Smith, who plays for the Saints, not Will Smith me.
Yeah.
Thought that was kind of a ripoff.
Yeah.
Let's see. They didn't talk about maps at all.
If GM is out now,
is
that something that you would recommend if people can get access to it? That they
don't pay $99 for it.
Well, no, I mean people can find other ways. You might as well just wait, right?
Huh?
They can find other ways to install the GM.
No, you have to be a developer.
Why not just wait for the?
It won't authorize. I would not. So here's the thing: if you install the GM, updating to the first release after GM is a little tricky. You'll have to restore your phone, restore it from backup, that whole thing. It's a big pain in the ass. Just wait and do it the right way.
It's only a week.
It's 6 days at this point. By the time you hear this, so you can totally wait.
6 days. It's an eternity. I'll freeze myself.
You have to calm yourself. It is a long time.
The last thing that's worth mentioning is that they snuck Facebook audio in, which has showed up in one of the early betas and then seemed to disappear for a little while, or maybe I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
It's basically VoIP calls using the Facebook audio, FaceTime audio codec. Did I say Facebook this whole time? So it's FaceTime audio.
Yeah.
It's a
right. So
VoIP audio,
like
so you can use it like Skype, except for it works like FaceTime or iMessage with all that stuff, and it's a much higher quality audio codec.
Into all your calling and stuff. Okay.
Lower bandwidth requirements.
Is it lower bandwidth? I would think it's. I don't know about bandwidth.
Audio?
It's interesting because it's taking something that most people have free now, because calling on the phone is, at this point, you have unlimited calls for the most part. And they're turning it into something that's metered again, because that uses your data plan if you're using FaceTime audio.
Right, but not much.
I gotta imagine not much, but
You can also call directly to computers.
You can call directly to computers, I assume running Mavericks and
iPads.
And also if you're doing international calling, it's very handy for that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
iPads.
Yeah.
So they didn't talk about maps.
So Apple must be doing a tremendous amount of work on maps behind the scenes, because they know it was kind of embarrassing and they've got a lot of catching up to do, but they're not. They're not
there yet, or else they would have said.
The maps, I've never once had to update my Apple Maps.
Well, this is something we talked about last week.
Is it just happening behind the scenes? How is that?
Well, the data on the maps is constantly changing, because you're connecting to a server, downloading stuff from the server. So when they don't update the Maps app very often, but they are presumably constantly updating the responses and the stuff you get.
And speaking of another nice feature in iOS 7, will be not having to constantly manage all your app updates, because it just does.
Yeah, that's okay. So that is a huge, phenomenal change.
Sick of doing that.
I never do it on Android.
Right. Exactly. Thanks, Norm.
Because nothing ever gets updated.
No, there's constant updates. It's a never-ending stream.
Except for your actual operating system.
No.
What phone
you didn't listen to last week's podcast. They have completely bypassed that problem with the Play Store stuff. So all of the core apps for Android are now updated through the Play Store. rather than as part of OS updates. So your Gmail app, whereas the iOS Mail app gets updated once a year with the new version of the OS, the Gmail app gets updated 5 or 6 times constantly throughout the year.
That's good.
And making the point releases of Android much less important.
Right.
The automatic updating of apps is great until you have an app that breaks stuff. So I didn't realize that the Google Authenticator, which broke everybody's keys last week,
was
updated until it had already happened, and then it was too late for me to do anything about it. I had to go restore all that stuff.
Backup keys and everything.
Yeah, it sucked. It was real bad news. So yeah, that's the big stuff. I think, like you said, it's going to be a huge adjustment. I fully expect frantic calls from my parents.
When they do a big update to Facebook, everyone's like, "Oh, who moved my cheese? This is all not how I like it to be," and people will complain for a bit, and then they'll just get on with it.
I'm going to send my wife. My wife's going to be with my parents while the update hits.
Yeah,
and I'm installing it on her phone early so that she can be the first line of tech support when their iPad and iPhone get updated. Yeah, prepare yourself, people.
Wow,
it's coming. So yeah, that's iOS 7.
We'll be shooting a video about iOS 7.
Yeah, we probably should do that early next week. iPhone 5C is the next thing they talked about.
Yep.
We're just going down the list in order here. The 5C is much speculation was made about the rumored plastic iPhone. It is essentially an iPhone 5 in a plastic unibody frame that's $100 cheaper than the iPhone 5S.
So what happened is that you can no longer, after these phones are released on September 20th, you can no longer go into an Apple store and buy an iPhone 5.
So what happens if my iPhone 5, which is covered
they
for
will
replacements
still
by
have,
AppleCare,
just like they will have
they'll have
supply
replacement
of replacements of refurb units,
right.
But they'll likely actually be legitimately
But the iPhone 5
units.
has basically been bifurcated into these two separate products.
So
well, in years past, what's happened when Apple's released a new phone with a 5, last year's phone gets pushed down to the entry level. So 4S, as of right now,
the 4S
is $99 and 4 is free on contract.
Right. I'm actually surprised that they held on to the 4s.
That was the big surprise. What happened this time is that the 5C is not a low-cost phone for consumers. It's just a low-cost phone for Apple.
It replaces last year's phone.
So as opposed to it seeming like it's last year's phone now as a budget phone, it is now a mainstream phone. It's technically a new model using all the same internal hardware as iPhone 5.
But so the biggest point of contention was that a lot of people had speculated, and a lot of this stuff had leaked out ahead of time.
Yeah.
All the plastic shells are out there.
Yep.
People knew it was called the iPhone 5C. All this stuff ended up being legitimate.
Yeah.
But the whole point of what this was supposed to be was Apple is always competed at the mid to high end, but a lot of people in emerging markets and just people on lower incomes, whatever, who want an iPhone or want a phone, are all buying Android phones because those are the ones you can get cheaply.
Well, they've done
this was supposed to be Apple's way of competing, but even their so-called cheap phone is actually quite expensive.
It's not a cheap phone, though.
They've done well by selling last year and the year before's phone at discounted prices.
Well, that's what I'm trying
free.
to figure out. Wasn't Apple already addressing this market through the fourth generation phones?
So here's the problem with that strategy when there are two identical phones. When you're selling two phones that look exactly the same, but one is $100 cheaper, even though the more expensive one has better hardware and new camera or whatever dumb thing.
But they don't look exactly the same.
No, he's saying in the
old days. When they introduced the 4S,
the 4 and the 4S,
the 4 and the 4S look exactly the same. The 5 and the 5S look, unless you get the gold one or maybe the space gray, essentially look the same.
Right. Or with the ring around the thumb.
Right. Right. There are subtle differences that indicate that is a new phone. What they have done is they have turned last year's phone into a distinct product instead of just selling last year's phone.
And not only turning into a distinct product and increasing the perceived value, because it's all perceived value.
Right.
For the consumer.
This is marketing happening.
But also, the perceived new product is cheaper for them to make because it's more differentiated than the iPhone 5 and the 5S because it's thicker. It has a bigger battery.
This is not
it's steel instead of aluminum.
The emerging market low-end phone that analysts and people expected it to be. Every year after Apple announces something these days, it seems the stock price dips. Analysts complain, but this year in particular, it seems like the reaction was very negative.
It doesn't matter. They're going to make $4 billion again.
And the biggest market is China. China Mobile's no deal announced for China Mobile. The big
people
big
had
carrier
speculated
there.
on that.
Yep. they're not going to do the emerging markets because then they drop their revenue per unit, Apple's revenue per unit. And this model, it all stays the same. And in fact, they're probably, I would suspect, making more per unit on the 5Cs than they would have on the 5s.
Because the 5 is an expensive piece of hardware to build.
Because of the aluminum build,
right.
And the chamfering and all this.
So there's two things. It means that people stuck on a biannual update, which is where most American consumers at least are, don't have immediately the cheap phone. There's not the pressure, the social pressure, or whatever nonsense. Just to be clear, this is nonsense that people feel because their phone is the old one. That goes away because now their phone is still the good one, but it's last year's good one instead of this year's good one. It's not this year's cheap one.
Your mom doesn't have it.
My mom doesn't care. My mom runs a iPhone 4 and is really stoked. So
my parents want they want the 5C because their 4s are sucking.
Well, that is coming, I'm sure. The close-up shots show that it's the same basic frame design as the 5. Most likely, it has 2 screws in the bottom on either side of the Lightning port that hold the guts of the phone into the case. It is a little bit thicker, and it's quite a bit heavier. It's 132 grams versus 112 grams.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to kind of get one in hand, because one of the things they went to pains to explain was, even though this is a plastic phone, it's not going to feel plasticky and cheap like a lot of plastic phones.
I don't know, like it's a glossy plastic.
Yeah.
So and from everyone who said they've used it at the hands-on time, fingerprints get all over it.
Yeah.
Sure, it looks great in the photos. I would prefer to matte plastic, something like the polycarb that Nokia used on the Lumias, the first gen Lumias.
Yeah.
Where when you scratched it, it would still be that same color, which I'm not sure is the case here. I'm
going to go to the Apple store and just take my keys out and work on the back of one of them, see if it's all the same color all the way through.
The bigger thing, like you said, Gary, is why did they keep the 4S? Because not only then, yes, we understand they need a free on contract phone, but the 4S at this point is more of a liability for manufacturing because they're not using scale. They're using a different screen. It's 30-pin connector. They're building that hardware still. They still have to keep in stock.
Is it still a 30-pin connector?
I would have thought they would at least upgrade them to Lightning.
4S is 30-pin connector.
Another thing is there's a lot of pressure from the development community to drop the 4S
the screen
because
size.
of the screen size.
Yeah, people want a uniform screen size.
It's liability.
Yeah.
For both manufacturing and software support.
I don't fully understand it, and again, but nor do I fully understand a lot of the people complaining about what they thought this thing was going to be. I don't think Apple was ever really going to make a low-end phone. Then Apple's not in the business of making low-end products.
I think that
it is still a dot connector.
There is a connection. There was a conversation within Apple between the bean counters and the designers of whether the 5C would have been the free on contract phone, and the 5, last year's 5 being the $99 and then the $199. Here's further differentiate.
Here's the thing.
And I think if the 5C launched at 0 on contract, people would be very happy.
Yeah.
There's still,
and I think that they
but the
figured
point is,
that
in a lot of these other markets that the people expected this phone to be targeted at, where you don't get the 2-year contract subsidy. You have to buy the phone for full freight.
I don't think
they
care as much about the other markets as the analysts want them to. I think that they're interested in gaining U.S. market share right now, and they want to be the largest phone in America, the biggest selling phone.
And I think that is a goal. I think
that's where the money's at.
I mean, those are people that are upgrading every year. The cost of their goods is, I think this is a fallacious statistic, but if you look at the cost of the disposable income of an average person in China, and even multiply that by the number of people, it's still a relatively small amount of money that they can take.
My guess is 6 months from now, Apple will be crowing about how the iPhone 5C is by far their biggest selling phone ever.
So what's interesting also is that 5C available for pre-orders, 5S
on the 13th,
not available for pre-orders. Wait in line by day 1.
So,
is that right?
Yeah, there's lines for the 5S.
Oh, so you can't do the online thing and have it sent to your house?
Not for the 5S, and that tells me it's one of two things. It's either one, manufacturing is constrained on the 5S, which I think is not the case, because it's essentially the same manufacturing as the 5, which they were doing.
Well, new CPU though.
Sure, but more likely that they want people to get in line for the 5S.
They want those lines, and
that tells me that they are unsure about the demand for the 5S given the 5C.
Well, that's true because it's going to split the demand.
Because there's at $199. You can buy 2 phones at $199 on contract now, a 32 gig 5C or a 16 gig 5S, And I think that 32 gig is more attractive to the majority of normal people.
It's actually...
Yeah, every time we've been in a line, remember what they always say, the only ones we have left are the 16 gig, because people don't really want that.
No, that's not true at all. Last year, for the 5 line, people were buying the 16 gig white. AT&T was the -- one that they sold at our location.
64 that's always
Nobody
left
wants
over,
the
'cause
64.
no one needs a 64.
Yeah, it's $300. The thing about the 4S, though, is 4S is still under... If you bought 2 years of Apple Care, the 4S is still under warranty for another year, potentially, for the next 6 or 8 months. So that they're still having to make 4Ss to refurb.
But that's a small quantity as opposed to mass producing, because those free on contracts sell so well.
People bought them last year, too, is what I'm saying. Like, the 4S has been in production. This is the 3rd year of 4S production.
The inability to...
I'm saying is a liability if they want to move forward.
The fact that this can't be pre-ordered is the final straw for me, in the sense that I was 99%...
Well, we haven't gotten to that yet.
What?
The 4S, 5S.
I'm not talking about the 5... Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you want to finish...
Jumping ahead.
I didn't realize it was so structured.
But this is
usually
a serious fucking podcast,
usually not
Gary.
as regimented as that.
Serious business.
I mean, this is a podcast where we suddenly, in the middle of iPhone conversation, will start talking about fucking Doctor Who or some shit. So I didn't realize that we suddenly got so strict. Yeah, that's why we had to bring that whole thing in.
Serious business.
All right.
Podcasting. The rules of podcasting must be followed.
Stay on the level. All right.
It's $99 for 16 gigs, $199 for 32 gigs. No 64 gig on the color model. And
is that right?
No 64 gig color model.
Because again, I think they
why?
People
Yeah.
don't need it.
I love...
No, also because they want to sell services, storage services.
Yeah, they want to sell cloud. I love that the names of the colors are just names of colors. Yellow, blue, pink, white.
Doesn't look like a blue. I think it's light blue.
Black, blue, yellow, pink. It's not like Skylight or Thunder or Toledo.
I'm glad I'm not the market for a 5C, because I always get paralyzed by color indecision.
But you do want to hold one in hand. You want to...
I do, because, again, I think the problem with plastic products, and again, this is why a lot of the premium Android phones, like the HTC One, have moved over to these metallic designs, because they know that plastic just feels cheap. So it'll be interesting how Apple's approached it. You know, they made a big deal about how they put a metal frame inside the plastic. It's going to give it some heft to make it feel not, creaky and plastic.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you a secret.
What?
They did a steel frame inside that case because steel is cheaper than aluminum, and the old frame was aluminum. The old frame was the trough on the back of your 5 and 5S.
Well, whatever it is, the point I'm making is that I think what they've tried to do is give it some more, to take away that cheap plasticky feel, even though it's still plastic. So we'll see.
Maybe.
I would prefer it be lighter. I mean,
if it's plastic,
when we picked up that iPhone 5 last year, so light, felt like a phone without a battery inside.
Some people said that it was so light they almost found it kind of unnerving. No. I've gotten used to it now. But I remember when you first picked up the 5, you were like, holy shit, is there anything... It
looks like
you thought it was a demo model that had no guts in it. Yeah.
Feel how sharp the edges are on this new one. It's crazy.
Oh, you got it replaced?
You got it replaced because the camera has a scratch on it.
How did you get it? What was your excuse to get it replaced?
So yeah, there was a story a few months ago. It happened to be true because Gina was looking at all my photos a few months ago, and that I'd taken with the phone. She was like, every photo you take has a spot in the same place.
Had a scratch on the lens?
It wasn't a scratch on the lens. It's actually a purple spot on the sensor. And the guys at the Apple store at least didn't know what it was. They said they think that there's either some particle that got stuck in between the sensor and the lens, or maybe cosmic radiation.
But that was grounds for a replacement?
Instant replacement.
How much did they scrutinize it?
What, the rest of the phone?
Well, anything.
We opened up they were like, can you unlock your phone? I was like, yeah, sure. He put aimed the camera at the white table, the birch table at the Apple store. It was like, oh yeah, it's right here on the side. Done. Let me go get Biff. He'll get you a new camera.
Love it. Love it when they swap them out.
They were like, have you backed it up? I was like, yeah, sure. We're good.
Wow.
In and out.
You should have bashed up the edges of the phone even more.
Well, I dropped it. The edges.
I'm quite jealous of
someone else
pristine new phone, because mine...
It was my own dumb mistake.
Like when you get a brand new product, whether it be like a nice white pair of sneakers, or a brand new shiny phone, for the first couple of weeks, you're super protective of it, and every tiny little scratch or bit of dust, you freak out about. But then you cross a kind of Rubicon where you just don't care anymore.
Once I dropped
iPhone now is pretty,
I've dropped mine,
beat up,
and we're approaching the 1-year mark for warranties.
Yeah.
I'm going to go investigate my camera sensor as well, or look for a dead pixel.
Or, you could get in there with the keys and scratch up the...
They will one dead pixel, they'll swap it out immediately.
Yeah. And there you go. Your resale value just went way up.
At $100, your resale value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that warranty. You're paying for it.
You've already paid for the warranty.
I had Apple Care. I got Apple Care Plus.
So you're in. You're not changing.
Well,
you're going to get up at 4 o'clock. Well,
I don't want to jump ahead, Will. I don't want to mess with your strictly
the
organized podcast.
The
agenda.
iPhone 5S.
Oh, we are moving on.
We're moving on now.
Okay.
You want
to talk about the lovely iPhone 5C croc cases?
I was going to do a case segment at the end of the phone talk because they're cases are the new in thing at Apple.
Cases are back.
Cases are back.
All right.
The big thing on the 5S, and I'm air quoting big, is the fingerprint sensor.
You think that's this year's big?
There were
feature.
3 high points that they seem to focus on.
Yeah.
The fingerprint sensor, there was a video about.
Yeah.
The home button has been replaced with a home button / fingerprint sensor.
Yeah.
You put your finger on it, and it will unlock the phone, and also it will let you, instead of typing in your password to buy apps and music from iTunes, you can just tap your finger on the home sensor.
Usually with the S bump.
Yeah.
Talked about, they go from there's the big generation update, then the S, which is more incremental, and the next big one.
What was the 3GS? Was that GPS?
It was just much faster, I think. They said the S stood for speed.
They didn't say it for this time. Did not stand for anything.
The S stands for second.
At this point, S just stands for the one that's slightly better than the last one.
Yeah,
slightly better. That's what it stands for.
So if you look at like the iPhone 5, that was a big jump. It was LTE came to the iPhone, huge, and the new screen. But more than anything, LTE was a huge deal.
Right, and then so if you remember with 4S, what they do is there are a couple of things. No matter what generation they always talk about a better camera every single time. They talk about faster speed, and then they add one other thing that's not like something that actually is new but not terribly exciting. With the 4S, it was Siri. With the 5S, it's the fingerprint sensor.
Yeah,
sensor. I think the S stands for sensor because there's also the new.
Whatever.
They also have rolled out new processor enhancements, and I think all of the S series phones
and the motion coprocessor.
Yeah. So let's talk about the fingerprint sensor first. This solves a problem. It's a pretty minor problem.
It's a minor problem, but for someone like me who likes to keep a passcode lock on their phone,
I do that too now, thanks to you.
See, it's very wise.
Yeah,
it's handy to have. I feel more secure about leaving my phone around, and also it can be used for other things like in-app, purchases, the iTunes purchases, things like that.
Yeah.
So it's nice, but it's not like I gotta get this.
Well, so here's the thing:
feature.
Because I have to type my iTunes password a lot, I have intentionally not turned on 2-factor auth for iTunes, and that's the only account I have left that supports 2-factor that I haven't turned it on.
And doesn't iOS 7 come with a password keychain that will make some of this stuff easier anyway?
It does. I'm less excited about password keychains that are OS specific. Because I also do use Windows occasionally, and I use Android stuff occasionally. And if I can't get to my Apple keychain on my Android device or my Windows machine, it's much less valuable.
Ecosystem, so I'm all good.
Yeah, that's going to be
it's perfect.
It's all going to be tied together, the thumb and that keychain thing eventually.
Yeah.
Well, the thumb stuff is not stored in the cloud. It's only on the machine.
I'm saying within the device, you'll be able to use the thumb to
unlock to log into your stuff. Your thumb is your passport. The sensor, the reports from people who had hands-on with the device said that it worked much better than they expected. It's unclear what that's like in the real world.
If you've got a feature that's right at the gateway to your phone, if it doesn't work properly every time you can't even open your phone, that's Apple, I'm sure, with this one. Unlike Siri, which is like kind of a novelty, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can't have sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't on a feature that is the gateway to your entire device.
It sounds a lot like when Android came out with the facial recognition stuff that you could easily bypass by putting a photo of someone in front of the phone.
Right.
And I expect many, many YouTube videos of people bypassing fingerprint with
and also sometimes it didn't work even with your real face. It just wasn't reliable enough. So they have to have made sure that this thing works all the time.
I think Adam and Jamie did a Mythbusters episode where they tested fake fingerprint scanning technologies. So
which you can do.
Yeah, we can consult them and maybe we'll do something with that.
So it's a nice feature for people that like to keep their phones locked, like me.
Yes,
but it's not a phone selling feature for me.
But what if every single web service and website that you need to log in with, you just touch it with your thumb?
If it was fully supported on everything, that would be great.
Well, because it would be tied into that keychain system.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
So, you never have to type in a
Right now, all
password.
I'm saying is I'm not getting.
That's not a system seller.
Right now, I'm putting myself out there and saying this is the first iPhone that I will not be buying right at launch.
You said that. You've said that in the past.
I know,
I think it will
but
be
I really mean it this time.
It's for realsies.
This time I really mean it.
Okay. The camera stuff, like you said, they always pitch a better camera.
Yeah.
It has improved significantly
but the
over
ways
the years.
in which it is better, 90% of those ways do not appeal to me. Don't care about Flash because I never ever use Flash.
But what if you could use Flash? What if Flash didn't make your pictures look like shit?
Well, that's the thing. So you never use.
That's the promise.
You never use Flash because Flash generally makes your pictures look shitty.
The pictures will be better white balance if you use Flash, but it'll still look like Flash.
Yeah.
So
like
we should
Flash
explain.
photography.
We should explain this. The idea is that they have a dual tone flash. One is cool, two LEDs. One is a cool LED and one is a warm LED.
And you can actually see that on the phone. There's clearly like two little flash
one
bulbs.
One is pink and one is blue.
Right.
It analyzes the scene and shoots an appropriate combination of the two flashes to balance between, say, your white hot light of the sun and your cool blue LEDs.
So it's like kind of like HDR for flash photography.
But the actual illumination is still... It's still binary.
They showed some examples of how
flash
the
on or
tones
flash
look
off.
better,
Yes.
but
It's not like there are gradients of illumination.
It says there's 1,000 combinations of the two flashes
For color temperature.
for color temperature.
I'm not.
But not illumination.
I'm not.
Not
This is
excited
the kind
about
of thing you have to see and test in the real world and not in their demo stations.
Right. So I don't care about flash.
Okay. They have a higher speed sensor with bigger pixels.
Yes.
So each pixel is larger on a same megapixel size sensor, but the buckets that the pixels go in are larger. Now,
So-
Norm started shaking his head, so let's let him talk. What does this mean, camera guy, Norm?
They said the sensor is 15% bigger, and they're 1.5 micron. The pixels will take up 1.5 microns of space on the sensor.
But
It's
blah, blah,
it's
blah,
exactly
your
what
pictures will
HTC
look
One
better.
did with their ultra pixel
What's the
stuff,
best?
which is still bigger.
What's the best
Okay.
camera on any phone right
The
now?
Nokia 1110.
Is that the one that actually looks like a real
1020.
had the
1020.
big lens on the back that looks almost like a real camera?
It's a 45 megapixel
41 megapixel
camera. It's huge. Right. But the bad news is it comes with attached to a Lumia.
right. So you got to use Windows.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's interesting. I think that the high-speed video stuff is more interesting. The fact that you can shoot 120 frame per second video.
Don't care about that. Don't care about making
It's not
slow-mo
important now.
videos.
I think a lot of people will care.
I think people will.
Look, I can only talk about myself, man. I don't care about it.
But you
I don't
care
have
about
any
bursts.
friends who
Okay.
ride. I
You
don't
have a dog and a
I don't have
cat.
any friends that do BMX tricks.
Joey-
so it's not useful for me.
Joey has proven that high-speed video of dogs and cats is really funny.
So at
every time.
120 frames per second at 720p, that's 4 times slower than real life. Anyone doing any action is more entertaining at
Yeah.
4x.
It's a young
slower.
person's feature.
No, it's
I-
even for babies.
Myself and most people
Little
I
bugs,
know.
that much more adorable.
Baby high five. Bum, 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 bum.
It's a
And the
gimmick.
neat thing is, iMovie is going to support all that stuff, so you can slow it down yourself.
Myself and most people I know look pretty much the same in slow motion as they
Probably
do
worse in
regular
slow
speed.
Yeah, you
motion.
look much worse in slow motion.
The burst mode is the feature that appeals to me.
The burst mode is interesting, but there's a lot of magic stuff that has to, and I air quoted magic again, magic stuff that has to happen to make taking 30 photos in 3 seconds or whatever the gap is not a nightmare of organization. And they immediately came out and said, look, the software is going to pick the best ones for you.
And the people
But it will-
that
but also
hands-on
manually show you
explain.
all of them.
Yeah, so what happens is you hold down for as long as you want. It'll take at a rate of 10 per second,
Mm-hmm.
at which I think that the exposure and the shutter is going to be so fast that, like, if you want to hit it like on a phone, tap fast, it's gonna those individual pictures look better than the automatic burst one. It will,
I don't know. If you tap the phone, it's going to move.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I don't think that out of those 30, you're going to
See,
get maybe
so
3 usable
The
ones.
problem that I think
But
this
I think
is
that's
supposed
okay.
to alleviate is, you know, how you get a picture, and it would have been a great picture apart from the fact that you were caught half blinking and you look kind of
Right.
stupid.
Or-
but there was probably a picture a quarter of a second either side of it that was the right
Yeah.
one, and this will get that now.
So people will be trained then to hold down the shutter on the physical button or
Yeah.
on the screen,
Right.
which is totally great. You probably can't
So
do
it's kind
HDR
of
on
like it's
it.
kind of like a photographer
That's fine.
and taking all kinds of pictures because then they go through them and they pick the best
Sure,
one.
and photographers just hold down the shutter button and
Right.
shoot it at 4 FPS. But the way the software will filter those is that it'll show the grouping, and you'll be able to swipe through
Right.
and pinch in and pick out the ones you want to save and then dispose of the rest immediately.
Didn't they also talk about maybe
So
I
they don't even
misread them,
pollute your
but didn't
your
they say
photo
that
stream
they
or
also
anything?
kind of like amalgamated pictures to create the best one?
No. That's
there's a
Samsung does
lot
that?
of software that does that. You can do that with Photoshop and Lightroom and a bunch of other stuff.
But again, so as someone with a baby, and it's often hard to get a good picture of her because she's
Yeah.
always running around. burst mode, you might actually capture some of those moments.
Your wife had some stuff to say about this. I think you said the best camera is the one that you have. And she said,
I always have
I'd much rather have
almost always have my iPhone with me.
Yes.
But what we did was our Sony NEX, which is a better camera.
Yep.
We now try to keep that more on hand because you're just going to get better pictures at the end of the day. But you have to go get it. Whereas my iPhone, I was like, oh, quick, I'll take a picture. I usually have it nearby anyway.
Yeah. Spinach face.
So who knows?
I'm interested in the camera. Like as always, that stuff we'll see once we actually get the real hardware and see how it actually performs.
Yeah.
The other thing that they were pushing pretty hard is the A7 processor, which is a new Apple-specific ARM processor. They're saying it is twice the performance because they've switched to 64-bit from 32-bit architecture.
Yeah.
They've doubled the number of both standard registers and floating point registers, which is essentially like the workspace for the CPU.
They threw a lot of tech jargon at us in this part of the presentation.
I talked to people I know, including John Stokes, formerly of Ars Technica, who is a low-level CPU expert, and he was really skeptical of. He mirrored my initial thought that moving from 32-bit to 64-bit, given the amount of addressable RAM that these systems have, is probably not going to have a 2x performance improvement just by itself.
I'm sure it will ultimately be faster. The reason why this doesn't really appeal to me is not because I know or give a shit about what a floating point is or addressable RAM or any of that. It's just that 90% of the things that I do on my phone, I don't think I'm going to see the benefit. If you do want to play Infinity Blade 3 or something like that, I'm sure you will, but I don't do that.
You know, we all think our phone is good enough now. And we thought that with the 4 and 4S, and even the
we thought the 3G. We thought the 3G was good until the 3GS came out.
And the people who have used the 5S at that event said it is once again, much noticeably faster.
So the thing about
God damn it, I'm going to end up being a hypocrite again.
Yep.
No, I'm not doing it. Well, here's the other thing.
I'll see you in line, Gary.
Here's the other thing, because if I have to, I'm done, man. Taking my fucking folding chair out at 5 o'clock in the morning.
We're going to be in New York, so you're going to have to go stag if you're going out there.
The only way I would be convinced to do it is if we all do it.
Come to New York.
Not doing it.
Come to New York. No. It's fun. We'll have a good time.
No, I'm not doing it.
So it's the 2x performance boost doesn't make a lot of sense given what we know about the way ARM processors work and what we know about CPU architectures in general. I'm sure someone will do white papers and stuff like that on this soon.
64 is double 32.
Yeah, but the reason 64-bit software on PCs and Macs was faster is that it increased the amount of RAM that the applications could use. Since these phones aren't anywhere near the amount of RAM that is the 64-bit, the 32-bit addressable limit, that doesn't make as much sense. It makes more sense for things like iPad. Like I would love to see an iPad with 8 gigs of RAM in it. That sounds really cool. But for right now, I don't see what the benefit is.
Does this forecast ARM Mac OS?
I don't. Maybe. I mean, maybe. I can't imagine after seeing what ARM Windows looks like that ARM Mac OS is going to be much better. Would you want to use a MacBook Air RT?
Battery life was 2 days.
I'm happy plugging in every day to get real performance.
Some people aren't. I mean, if performance is the same, then at that point, then
if performance is not the same, that's Apple blowing smoke.
So those were the 3 main bullets: faster processor, better camera features, and fingerprint. That's it.
OpenGL ES 3.0 in the A7. The other thing that they added is this thing they call the M7 coprocessor, which is the gyroscope, accelerometer, and compass.
Oh, the motion coprocessor.
Yeah, they're always on.
Yes. And they did actually mention a bunch of like real world circumstances where that might be useful.
There's a ton of stuff. It's good for augmented reality stuff. It's also good for like motion trackers and pedometers and stuff like that.
Right.
If you look at turning on Fitbit-like apps and Nike Fuel Band-like apps on your iPhone now and leaving that running all the time, it will decimate your battery. The idea is that by putting in a dedicated coprocessor that can run at much lower speed and draw much less current.
And just some useful passive things, like if the motion processor knows that the phone's been sitting idle for a while, it won't be constantly pinging for networks.
It also lets you know that it's in your pocket versus on the table versus in a bag versus on your nightstand.
I think that's part.
There's a lot of useful applications.
I think the health stuff is much less useful because I still think it's silly that a lot of people use these phones, regardless of how light they are now, as
like to jog
for jogging, like armband, iPhones on armbands.
I just
even
like,
iPod touches on armbands.
I like having Runkeeper and stuff.
Yes, and I think those
like that's the benefit.
I think what the motion control processor tells us is that Apple is going to put this on a smaller device, whether it's a shuffle-like device or a watch or whatever.
Maybe.
And they're experimenting with it here to get all the data sorted out.
I'm a lot of applications in a watch.
The one thing I would say is that I'm much less concerned about destroying a $50 Fitbit Zip or even a $150 Nike Fuel Band than I am my $700 iPhone.
By sweating on it.
Yeah. Two new colors. One updated color, one new color. Gold.
No interest.
Nope, I'm good.
But I guarantee there's a big market for it.
Space Gray
will probably be the best of the three. Will probably, and they'll never reveal this, but it'll probably be the best-selling one.
Space Gray is the new updated
so it's
black.
not. So the black one's not gonna. The new one's not gonna look like the black iPhone 5 we have now. It's gonna be a subtle change in the colors.
The speculation I saw from people who had hands-on is that the new aluminum surface is a little bit different color and looks like it might age a little bit better. Because if you look at your black iPhone 5 right now, it's probably there's nice chunks taken out of the chamfers.
The thing is, I wouldn't want to get another black one because it dings up like crazy.
My white one aged really well.
The white one doesn't really appeal to me either, and gold appeals even less.
I think it's stupid that we're talking about phones aging well.
Yeah, because they don't, no matter what.
Mine looks brand new.
They age well if you replace them every year.
I think somebody pointed out that gold, especially there are certain cultures in other countries around the world where that's a big deal.
Yeah, and that was I think before they made the announcement when all the rumors about the gold phone coming out. I'm glad they're calling it gold and not champagne.
Yeah,
that pretentious.
That was
champagne.
unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean it's not very, but it is kind of closer to what we think of as champagne.
Sure.
It's not like blingy gold.
Right. It's not like
It's not like the gold-plated Saudi Arabian phones.
But people who do like gold and bling, this is the phone for them.
And also in certain parts of the world, in certain markets, aftermarket cosmetic adjustments to the phone. A lot of people choose gold.
You know what I would have done?
What would you have done, Gary?
To fully capitalize on the kind of people that this
Golden
phone is
diamonds.
for. People basically with fucked up ideas about status, who think that their phone says something about who they are and how great they are. There's plenty of those people out there.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to be standing in the middle of Times Square.
I would have said the gold version is $50 extra. For no reason at all. It doesn't cost us a penny more to make a gold one than the black one or a white one. But we're just going to... Because that way you can say, yeah, you know this one actually costs. It's not just that gold is like, this one actually costs
or
me
they
more.
Could
because there are suckers that would pay that.
You could throw in the Apple Care. Mandatory Apple Care.
Remember like that bullshit $1 million that app that did nothing other than prove that you paid $1 million for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what people
Did they sell how many of those?
7.
What?
2 refunds, though.
Still. What?
Yeah.
I am rich. It was $1,000.
So I don't like the look of the gold one. But I think a lot
that's so
of
racist.
Well, and again, it also plays into the fact that people that want to prove that they have the latest one, the gold one's actually the only way to do that from like.
Well, that's what you're saying. People are going to walk Times Square and hold their phone up, put their thumb on the home button. My phone's unlocking. Look at me, my phone's unlocking.
Yeah.
Space Gray though, that's a name.
I'm curious to see it.
I think that in public, people are going to be more curious about the color iPhone 5Cs than the
that is immediately recognizable.
they will be very bright. Although again, not necessarily easy to differentiate from a bunch of other Android or Windows colored full phones that are already out there.
So the phone 16 gig is $200, 32 gig is $300, and 64 gig is $400 on contract. Add $300 ish to that for off contract prices.
Yeah.
T-Mobile's doing an off contract. Just normal off-contract SKU again this year.
$400.
And I'm in an off-contract year.
No, did you pay full price last year?
I paid full price last year for the 5, so I'm off-contract this year, and by the time even my dinged-up iPhone 5 would probably wipe out most of the on-contract price, but I'm still not going to do it.
We'll see you in 2 weeks, Gary.
Well, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'll be at home in my bed while everyone else is lining up.
I mean, like we said earlier...
You can't get it online at all?
I think if you like iOS and you want to stick with iOS and you have an iPhone 4...
Or 4S even.
I'm not saying I won't get one.
5C.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm not saying that I won't get one. I'm saying that I'm not getting one day one like I have all the others.
Here's the thing. If you have a non-LTE phone right now and you want an iOS phone, buying an LTE iPhone is a good move.
I would agree.
Buying a non-LTE iPhone is a dumb move.
There are plenty of people out there that you still see a ton of 4s and 4Ss around.
Yeah, of course.
A ton of them.
Lots of people have them.
Because people were on contracts or for whatever reason they didn't want to go. the 5C that's what they're going to go to.
But if you have a 5, if you already have an LTE phone,
Yeah.
you're happy with it.
Yeah.
Fingerprint sensor is the Siri of this generation. You do not need it. The new CPU is going to make much more difference in iPads in a month than it does in the iPhone.
I think it's actually has the potential to be a lot more useful than Siri, but I know what you mean. It's like it's a nice thing, but it's not.
It is.
Like,
wait, because there's going to be a new body next year.
Yeah.
You're going to get a whole new body.
That's why I want to hold my contract discount for the 6, which will
let it age. It only gets better.
Yeah.
You're going to get iOS 7 anyway.
Yeah, iOS 7 makes it feel like a new phone. That's what Phil Schiller said.
That's the other thing, is that I always argue that the new iOS, which comes out around the same time as the new phone, makes your phone feel refreshed anyway.
I can put
that's
7 on your
doubly
phone
true
right now. Give me your phone.
All right, do it.
Are you backed up?
We'll do it afterwards.
Okay. Please don't cancel my developer account, Apple. They have cases for both the 4C and 5C and 5S. They're plastic crock cases, is what you said. I think that's probably about right.
A lot of people just describe them as Crocs.
I don't know why you would put a case on your plastic phone, but whatever. They're leather cases for the 5 and 5S.
You get this two-tone color effect that some people will find appealing.
Okay. It looks like a
Make your phone unique to you.
Special.
Yeah.
What is the best case?
Color combination? Well, it depends on your own personal taste.
I'm saying if you were to...
White and
I don't like any of those combinations.
Really?
No.
Too colorful?
Yeah, one color
pastelly?
is enough. I don't need to do color mixing.
So, okay, let's start off with 5C. Which 5C color do we all think is the best one?
I'm pissed there's no orange. If there was an orange, I would be tempted to buy a 5C.
Again, I couldn't do it. I can never pick one thing.
I like the blue.
I knew you were going to say blue.
You know, I had trouble
I would have
enough
gone
with
to the
black
red.
or white.
If there was like a pure red?
If there was a product red iPhone 5C.
There's a product red case.
I know there is, but I'm saying I wish there was a product red one. That would be appealing.
I guess I like the... I don't know. What do you like?
There's a
the blue.
thing.
I like the light blue.
There's a thing.
I like the green.
There's a thing on the Apple
Was there a
Store.
yellow?
There was yellow.
Okay, I like the yellow. Because green and yellow are my favorite colors.
I think yellow is one of the most popular Lumia's colors,
Yeah,
too.
I like the yellow. Yellow's a nice, clean color.
You could get a yellow phone with a green case, and it looks really terrible.
But yellow and green, those colors are good combo.
It's a Finding Nemo combination.
There's a test. You can configure your own.
So I feel like the salmon and the blue
They
could
call
be
it
a
pink.
good combo.
It's funny that there's no black iPhone 5C, just white. White, pink,
Yeah.
yellow, blue, and green.
Black is not colorful. Black is the absence of color.
Okay, fair enough. But there's a black case. So you get a black case with a white. This is a terrible conversation. I think they fucked up by not doing orange and red. They're very popular colors.
Again, I think the point is, I think you're right. People that are complaining about this right now, I think that Apple will sell a lot of these. A lot of people on 4s and 4Ss that wanted a 5 that weren't ready to go either because they're too expensive or on contract for whatever reason. This is now how they get in there. And it's a big upgrade for those people. Like you said, LTE, bigger screen, faster this and that. It's just a better phone.
And bigger battery
And now
capacity.
affordable. More affordable.
They also have cases.
Oh,
for
so
the
that's the other thing.
5S.
So they're saying the battery on the 5C is actually better than the one on the 5, right?
Yes, that's how they justify the thicker, in addition to using plastic in that steel shell, the thicker phone and the heavier phone. Slightly bigger battery.
I'm skeptical.
I am super impressed with the HTC One's battery. It never drops below 40%.
So there's nothing. So Apple had nothing
The
for
whole
you
day.
yesterday with bringing you
No.
back, right? You're still Android boy.
I still love the OS and I still love the screen on this phone, and I don't shoot photos with my phone anymore.
I do like the HTC One. I've had a few conversations with people recently that a lot of people are talking about wanting to go to Android or they're curious, and I say if you're going to do it, get an HTC One.
I'm torn. You know, that the fact that I can't change my default apps still means another year before that changes.
I know. I hate having to put that shit
like
on
Chrome
the
and Gmail sucks.
Yeah.
Like I like using those apps. The Gmail experience is much better with the Gmail app. The fact that I can't make all my mail links and everything click open in Gmail sucks. Same thing for Maps. Same thing for browser. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, somebody here needs to cover iOS stuff.
What's the deal with that leather case?
It's a leather case for your iPhone 5 and 5S.
I don't like cases, but I'm thinking about I might just get one, just so I do hold on to this thing for another year, that it won't get dinged up anymore.
Why do you need the
resale
Apple
value worse than it already is?
Why do you need the Apple one?
I just like the look of it. It looks like a good
No,
case.
there's the other one, the one that Tracy uses and Adam uses now.
Yeah.
That one's awesome.
Oh yeah, what's that?
It's real hardcore. It's called
I try not to be
X something or
I try
other.
not to be case person.
You have to
anyway.
put it on with you have to bolt it on.
Yeah, that's not going to be for me. Because the problem is, I have the case that I do use is the battery one, and I need to be able to get that on and off. The Mophie, I use that a lot.
I just carry a battery that I plug in with a cable.
Yeah.
The leather case for the iPhone 5 and 5S comes in beige, brown, black, yellow, blue, and product.
Oh,
red.
yellow might interest me.
Yellow looks good with the white. I don't know. It looks like a bumblebee with the black one. That's fine. So I guess that's it for iPhone stuff. A couple other small things from the Apple announcement. They announced that iWork was free for new iOS devices. That means GarageBand, Pages, Numbers, Keynote, and iMovie.
GarageBand is part of iWork?
It was on the list, wasn't it?
I go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Is this pre-installed?
I assume it's pre-installed. My guess is it works like when you get a laptop with iLife, where you fire it up the first time you connect to the App Store. It says, "Hey, you have codes for previously unredeemed stuff," and then you click it and download. That would be my assumption, but I don't know for sure.
But not people who have existing iOS devices.
No, but I mean, if you have an existing iOS device, the odds are you've probably bought one or more of those if you care about them at all. Anything else from the Apple event? They had Elvis Costello. That would be a good musical guest, I guess. Intel rolled out its super duper lower power than Atom system on a chip. They're calling it Quark because I assume quarks. I would have thought they would call it subatomic particle, but I guess it's not as good a name. Anything of note about
did not
the
say
Quark?
much detail about that.
It was part of their IDF keynote. I know.
Made for watches.
You think for watches? It's that
that
low power?
Smart watches.
How low is the power? Do you know?
I don't know.
I didn't pay attention. Gary, I know, wants to talk about the Vita and Vita TV, so we'll hold off on a sec. Seagate has announced that they have a new hard drive technology that is making 5 terabyte hard drives, 3.5-inch hard drives possible.
Very good.
Instead of previously, I think the bits were if they're little cylinders, they're arrayed vertically. Now they're tilted and layered on top of each other, so they're even closer. Shingled. Yeah, I never wanted the shingles, but now I kind of do.
Only in storage.
Yeah, only in storage. It's interesting because the challenge with storage stuff on magnetic hard drives is always how small and how close can you make the bits without having them interfere with each other. And it seems like there's a new advancement every 3 or 4 years that makes that even. Because at one point we were saying, 1 terabyte drives are going to be as dense as we can do, and then that became 3 terabyte drives, and then it became 5 terabyte drives. So it's working itself out. There's a new Humble Bundle. I didn't know this.
Humble Bundle 9.
Humble Bundle 9. What is in the Humble Bundle 9?
FTL.
Ooh, that's a great game.
Fez.
That also is a great game.
Mark of the Ninja.
Hold on, you have to pay more than the average to unlock
$3,
those.
$3.50.
It's $4.41 now. It's gone up.
Well, you should got it earlier.
Brutal Legend. Great game.
And the soundtrack for all those games.
That's an okay game. Eats Munchies Beta. I don't know what that is. Mark of the Ninja. Another great game. And Trine 2, The Complete Story.
They're worth $5 each.
Easily worth $5 each.
The fact that you can get them all plus the soundtracks for $5. Pretty amazing.
So yeah, is it all soundtracks? It's Brutal Legend, Trine 2, both Trine 2. I don't think there's Eats or Mark of the Ninja soundtracks in here.
Or Fez.
Fez is in there. Fez is a great soundtrack. And it's Steam codes. It's OS 10, Windows, and Linux for the devices that are there. You have to pay $1 more to get a Steam key now.
That's fine. I'm
fine paying $5.41 for these games. This is good. You should if you don't have one or more of these games, get this. It's worth this. Fez, FTL, and Mark of the Ninja are 3 of my favorite games of this generation.
Humble Bundles are just getting better and better.
It's good stuff all around.
Very strong bundle, that one.
First Lego female scientist.
Yes, I want to use this.
And the new minifigs.
The new minifigs. Yeah,
I heard about that.
It's a lady scientist.
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's good. Lego. Yeah. And there's new sets too. The big one is the Sydney Opera House. I've been looking at this.
I stood in a Lego store at the weekend and stared at it for about 20 minutes, and so wanted it because it's such a beautiful kit.
You texted looking for approval.
Did they have built out in the display?
Yeah, they had the full model of it built in the store, and it looked tremendous. And it's one of the best looking sets they've done.
Because it's the one,
but it's very expensive.
In the architecture series, they had the smaller one.
Yeah,
and I remember a couple years ago when you said, if they had it in the full size because they had the London Bridge.
Every now and again, I look at a set and I go, man, if they just did like the full UCS version of that would be great. And they did it with Sydney Opera House, but it's $320.
It's a shitload of pieces.
And the problem is, we have a big backlog of Lego that we haven't had time to build.
It's a lot of shame.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of money for something that would just sit around and not get built for a while.
What do you think about the Ewok Village? It's tempting to me.
Don't like play sets.
I don't like play sets either, but it's a pretty good looking play set.
Where would you put it? It looks like it's such a huge footprint.
Put it in the kids' room. It's her problem now.
Yeah. There's in the architecture range. They do have a new UN headquarters building.
They also have,
which is cool.
I don't know how new this is, but they also have an architecture box that is just like white bricks for architecture.
Yes,
stuff.
Architecture Studio.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Looks good. Lego's got some great stuff right now.
The Star Wars stuff is kind of thin though these days.
There's a new Jabba's sail barge, which is quite cool.
How big is it? Did they have it built out?
No, I didn't see that built in the store.
Oh, you can play that with the Pirates boat. Mixed worlds.
I didn't get that new X-Wing yet either. There's a lot of stuff out there.
New
right now
UCS X-Wing.
The UCS X-Wing.
I'm not into the Lord of the Rings sets, but the Tower of Orthanc is quite.
And when
quite
people say that the Hobbiton one,
Hobbiton,
the Lord of the Rings one, the what's it called? Bilbo's house.
Yeah.
That one is the best. It's the most creative use of original piece,
Right.
non-original, like traditional pieces.
Yeah.
To make something.
Yeah, that's a good looking set too.
Yeah. It was sold out for a long time too.
A lot of good Lego out there right now.
There's a whole new set of those little planet ones that are, I don't know if you've seen those, but they're the ones that come with like the little Christmas tree ornament looking planet, and then they have like a mini micro. They have a minifig and like a super small scale on some stuff, like they did an ATST.
Right.
There's a couple of them on the wall behind us. But the new ones are a TIE bomber, a snow speeder, the Tantive 4, and a B-wing. So I'm totally buying those.
Actually, I don't get all the enthusiasm over that DeLorean, that Back to the Future DeLorean. I mean, I like it when the Kusu sets get made, but like, it's not a good looking model. It's too blocky. Yeah. It just doesn't look like a good model.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. The Star Wars stuff has been a disappointment this year. Other than that, it's all Clone Wars crap.
Yeah, I don't like the Clone Wars
although
stuff.
the Z95 is tempting. And I guess the UCS X-Wing is pretty good.
The UCS X-Wing is great.
I already have an X-Wing, though.
Jabba's sail barge is kind of... Again, that's another one where I feel like the UCS version would be great, but I don't know if they'll... I
kind of don't... Like, the UCS stuff is almost too big, though, to like, display.
Yeah.
Because, like, my UCS B-Wing, I haven't built because I don't even
I haven't built it yet, but I'm very excited about the UCS B-Wing.
Bad.
It's my favorite thing that they've done.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So excited I have had it for a year and have yet to build it. Last thing is the new Vita and Vita TV. So Vita TV is only in Japan. It seems super weird, but it is a small box that you can plug Vita cartridges into and hook up to your TV and then play games. It seems like either with a Vita that's connected over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or something, or a DualShock 3 controller.
Right, and it also will do media streaming, like an Apple
also
TV
will do
type
Netflix
box.
and Hulu and all that stuff.
Yeah, and also, did you mention the PS4 thing?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, that's
So the Vita
that to
TV,
me is the most exciting feature.
Vita TV will also play the old PS1 games from PSN.
PS1 and PSP.
Why can they not get to PS2? Because that would open up a huge.
Vita
library.
doesn't have PS2 back compat.
Wish it did.
Oh wait, I would think Vita did. A PSP was PS1 only, right?
All I know is that
that
PS2 isn't in this Vita TV box.
Yeah,
They need to get there because the PS2 library is incredible.
So there was a lot of snark about this Vita thing, the Vita TV thing on the
I
internet.
thought most people were quite positive about it.
Giant Bomb was pretty positive about it, and the rest, everybody else was kind of like, what the fuck does this mean? So it's only in Japan.
But it'll come to America.
I'm interested in it because it gives a place, like if you just want to play some weird indie games on the TV, it's not a bad way to do that for $100. And there's a lot of pretty good Vita games.
There are going to be other
at this
options
point.
to do that, though. We know...
Well, Ouya's out.
Ouya is not the way to do it. But I think we keep hearing about Amazon and/or Google coming up with a set-top, Android game box. I think at some point Apple is going to update the Apple TV in such a way that they'll add game apps, iOS game apps.
Apps on the Apple TV seem like a good move.
Yes, I think they'll get there. I think this is going to be the next big sector, is the little hockey puck-sized box that plays games on your TV.
You think they're just going to call it the Apple TV?
No, because that would be
already there.
Would be terrible.
Just double cap the P's.
Nope.
You should do a Kickstarter where you can stack those boxes on some type of rig and have an
that's a
HDMI
good idea.
switcher in the back, so all of them only take one HDMI.
That's the problem. There's so many boxes out
I'm going
there.
to cut that out of the podcast.
But the big feature on the Vita TV is the ability to stream games from a PS4 in another room. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, you can do that with your Vita too, can't you? Remote play with the Vita is a thing.
Well, they talk to each other, but I don't know if Vita will stream your PS4
sure
game to a TV.
Stream. Oh, no, it won't do it to a TV because there's no HDMI.
That's what you can
I'm just
do
saying
with
you can
this.
play a PS4 game on your Vita in another room.
Again, but I don't want to do that. I want to play it on a big screen TV in another room. And
It's
that's
magical.
What Vita
We're going
TV
to talk about
will
the
do.
Shield in a little bit. Yeah, it does make one PS4 into a hub for your other TV stuff.
Yeah.
It seems like it's unclear how much storage is on the Vita TV. The page that I looked at was in Japanese, and I don't read Japanese, so that made it difficult to tell. I've heard reports of everything from 1 gigabyte of onboard memory to none, which means you'd have to buy expensive-ass Sony Vita memory cards, which are, I think, $80 for 32 gigs or something crazy right now still.
Yeah, they released new capacity.
Oh, bigger capacities?
Bigger capacity.
Ooh. That seems like a good way to make a whole lot more money.
So I like it. I think Sony's smart. I think Microsoft needs to get into this space as well. These little boxes, what people want. These little boxes that sit on in front of your TV and play simple games.
There's a new. They're not necessarily simple games.
Not simple, but not necessarily like we're talking about.
Not your AAA
Killzone and Forza 5,
Uncharted 7.
Yeah.
There's also a new Vita revision that's Japan only right now. I think it's an LCD panel instead of an OLED. It includes 1 gigabyte of onboard storage for things like apps, I assume, like Netflix and stuff like that. It has better battery life and will be out very soon.
Vita Slim
in Japan. That's it. That's it for news. That's what we got.
Is that it?
The Vita TV only plays Vita games that don't have touch, don't require touch.
Right.
So stuff like Thomas Was Alone, Guacamelee, all that stuff that does no touch. It's just thumbstick games. I would love to play a lot of those games with a DualShock, even though I don't really like the DualShock that much. Much rather play with the PS4.
Not a big news week.
Kind of. Well, I mean, Apple.
Well,
stuff.
Apple eats up all the news cycles.
So yeah,
Jurassic World.
If you wanted to roll out something really terrible, yesterday morning was the time.
Yeah, because everyone is looking the other way.
God, Microsoft should have announced the Balmer thing yesterday.
It's too obvious.
Yeah,
that would have been awesome.
It would have been picked up for what it was.
Surface
2, right?
There's an event on the 23rd, I think, in New York. We'll be there. We're both still in town.
But that's what it's going to be?
We don't know. It is a Surface event. The invitation said, come to New York for an exclusive Surface event.
Even though the first generation Surface has not been successful, I still like the idea. And I think that with a second-gen product, if they fixed what was lacking in the first one, they could still make something of it.
A 7-inch x86 Surface could be neat.
Why are you gritting your teeth, Norm?
Because that's not going to happen.
Nope.
Will just said. From people who say they're in the know, what they expect will happen is the Surface 2 will be exact same lineup as the Surface 1, but
Haswell
hardware. So Haswell for the Pro version,
yeah,
and the RT1 will probably drop the RT and just have a Tigre 4.
So they're just doubling down on a product that has not so far been successful.
Hey guys, the problem with this was that the x86 battery life wasn't very good. Not that it was a 10-inch tablet.
Or not that it was a 10-inch tablet that you couldn't really use as a laptop.
Yeah.
And uses an operating system that most people don't like.
Oops. Well, we'll see. I remain optimistic.
Boy G's report also has reports of Amazon's next Kindle Fire, which 7-inch and 8.9-inch.
Yeah.
1920 by 1200 screen is what they say. Smaller, thinner, lighter. User-friendly controls, but they were pretty vague about everything else after that.
What do you think Apple's going to do with the next? Because there'll be an iPad thing coming up pretty soon.
October.
Right?
Biggest question is whether the Mini will go Retina.
Mini Retina would be my happiest moment of the
I
year.
gave away my
your 4
full size
3.
Yeah, 3. And because I just like the Mini, and you're right, the Retina's the only thing missing. A Retina Mini would be the perfect product for me.
I love the new Nexus 7 with the higher density screen. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I would much rather have an iPad that's that size and that resolution.
I agree.
My suspicion is that they're going to say the Mini is just going to be this, they're double in capacity or do something superficial to the Mini that's not the screen.
Why?
Because I think they want to push the full-size new form factor for the full-size one.
So
there's two ways this could go.
We've kind of seen... We've already got a sense of what the new full-size iPad is going to look like. Right?
Here's
more the form factor of the Mini just blown up.
And thinner, lighter with the Retina.
Right.
Everything that the 4, people wanted the 4 to be.
When we see what happens, what they roll out with iPads, if they roll out a premium mini SKU that's like, they could do a bunch of different things. They could do a cheap $300, another air quote, $300 non-Retina iPad mini, and then $100 more, $150 more, whatever, for the Retina version of the same thing with more capacity.
Right.
I think that the Mini, looking at the people I know that carry minis around with them all the time now, it is not a crowd that is not willing to pay for a premium product.
But they could do that though.
It's
in the same,
not a crowd that's not willing to pay.
It is a crowd that's willing to pay for a premium product.
They could keep the non-Retina Mini around at their for what is
at
Apple.
their
inexpensive,
and then make $429 a Mini with Retina and
that's my best guess. That's
processor.
That's what the holiday product lineup will be. The new full size iPad with the new styling,
but keeping the iPad 2 or lower cost iPad for the e-tailers,
for the
square people.
The a Retina Mini and a low-end Mini.
So
a Retina Mini with A7 would be grand.
iPad Mini with Retina. I don't think they've solved the battery problem yet.
I'll be interested to see.
So I
that's
think
the big question.
They could do it technically and cram in there, but your battery
That's
life
I think
will not be.
that's the lineup I think we would all
get.
like to see. Whether or not Apple can make it happen.
Physics.
Yeah, I mean there is a substantial physics problem.
And
so we'll see.
Do you think there's a chance of a watch or a TV thing before the end of
Maybe
the year?
Apple TV, but probably not.
I think they'll do a nice strong refresh of the iPad lineup and leave it at that.
They did
And
a stealth update.
They'll sell a shitload of Minis and 5Cs over the holiday.
There was a stealth update of the Apple TV, but it doesn't seem to have done anything other than maybe be less expensive.
It added some Disney channels.
No, that's a real. I mean, a hardware update. They changed the hardware on the Apple TV, as I understand it, but I don't think I think it's just a less expensive to manufacture Apple TV now.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll do it for news. I'm going to play some music, and then we'll talk about what we've been testing.
People say Apple TV new hardware next month.
Really? That's the rumor?
That's the new rumor today.
What would it be?
What's Apple TV now? It's an A5 or something?
It
It's a
apps.
2-year-old processor. Yeah. Okay, I'm playing music. Norman Chan, we've been testing the NVIDIA Shield.
Yeah, so for the past week, I've been playing Shield just PC streaming games. I'm done with all the Android games because I don't think the Android games work very well. Some of them, the platformers are fine, except they don't do a good job resolving the fact that there's a controller attached, and so you still have the touch on-screen overlays for many of these games.
So, like, to control or to do things in the game?
To control.
Ooh.
It doesn't know that when you plug a controller in, which is what you're basically doing with the Shield.
So did you try anything like, there's a bunch of old Xbox One ports like Max Payne and stuff like that? Munch's Oddworld Odyssey and all those?
Some games will work fine and not show the controls.
Okay.
Some games will still show your thumb overlays.
Oh, that's lame.
And then for PC streaming...
this is the thing that I think is interesting about the Shield.
This is the only reason I think people want to buy a Shield today.
Okay.
Is if you have an NVIDIA card that's a 6 series or higher. And to be fair, you do not need a very powerful 6 series video card because you're just running games at 720p here.
Okay.
Getting into those games is still very beta, which means you launch NVIDIA and you have
the GeForce
experience on your PC. It will recognize whether games are installed on Steam, which is installed, or on Origin. And then theoretically, the supported games, you just see it on the menu, launch it, and they'll play.
From the Shield.
From the Shield.
Yeah.
You don't have to go onto your PC. In reality, you will have to go to your PC either to change resolution manually or to click pop-ups because you can't click pop-ups.
So I only played it. You've played more games of the PC stuff than I have, but I played Spelunky and Saints Row 4.
I finished Saints Row 4 finally.
Congratulations.
I played 4 hours of Saints Row 4 on this thing, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it kind of creeped me out a little bit because I saw Norm was on Steam, and I said, "Oh, how far are you into Saints Row 4?" Because he was playing it. And he went, "Oh, it's blah blah blah." We shared some notes. He goes, "Yeah, and the best thing is I'm playing it in bed on my Shield." And I kind of got like creeped out.
Not wearing pants.
And he was like, "Ugh." You should have told me that right away.
You know, Steam's Big Picture. So it uses Steam's Big Picture on the device. When you click into Steam, when you're in Big Picture, it should tell other people that you're in Big Picture and thus can't type to them. Because when I get a Steam message and I'm in Big Picture, I always just end up walking into the other room to type messages.
If you look at your Steam friends list, it puts up a little controller. It tells
really?
It will tell you that you're using a controller.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's a blue icon.
Yeah, so it does basically do that.
So then people who send messages to me when I have the controller
if you were on
just
Shield, how were you
I walked
typing?
over to my computer.
Oh, okay.
Without pants and
it's
and
even
then went back
worse
to
now.
bed.
Don't ever use Norm's computer chair, guys.
And then played some more Saints Row.
Did you finish it yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm doing all the loyalty stuff now.
I got to the mission last night where it says, "Let's finish this thing."
Right.
Like finished all the Kinsey stuff.
It does the kind of classic Mass Effect type thing where it says like, are you sure you want to go forward? Because once you do this, you're into the end game. You can't go back.
Is that real?
Yes, but it's not just one mission. There's a shitload more to do.
Oh, okay. Because Jeff had said that there's a moment where you think you're almost done, and then it just opens up again, gets crazy.
That's where you're at.
Okay.
Do the loyalty stuff before.
I've done all the loyalty stuff.
Do all the loyalties.
I've done almost all the challenges. I've collected all of the clusters. I've collected all of the audio logs.
Clusters, all 2,000 clusters.
1,255 clusters.
Did you really?
Every one.
Oh man, that's crazy.
I'm sick. Whenever I see the blue dot, I just run.
I run by them all the time, but then I feel like, oh man, I'm just gonna have to go back and get it later.
Yeah, that's why I thought. So then I just got them all.
Fuck that shit.
I've completed the story, and I'm just mopping up a bunch of the side quests and activities.
Once you get the collectible finder, it gets easy. Yeah, it does peak. It does peak pretty. It's not. It is a good game, but it's not the same level of good as the previous one.
It's fun. Once you get to level 50 and you can buy unlimited ammo for everything, you can just go on like.
But I've been level 50 for
rampages.
ages.
Yeah,
I've been level 50 since like the start of the second act.
Yeah,
pretty
because
much.
I blasted through it in a different way.
Yeah.
I didn't do all the XP stuff.
Okay.
I didn't get level 50 until after I finished the story.
Oh.
So side scrollers like Spelunky.
Spelunky was hard. The timing, the lag wasn't. While the lag on the controller piping the video over Wi-Fi isn't noticeable when you're playing like a shooter or something like that, it was definitely noticeable on
See, this is
precision
the problem. If
side
you're
scrollers.
in any way serious about gaming, if you're the kind of person that won't use like a wireless mouse to play PC games, you're not going to want this. Right?
We should load
even the tiniest fraction of
But
latency.
you can be serious about gaming
want.
and play a game like Saints Row.
Yeah.
And still have a lot of fun.
Like there are, it's the old thing. Like I would never want to play, even if theoretically like Civ 5 supported controllers, I would never play that in the living room because it's going to suck compared to playing with a mouse and keyboard.
And you're not going to be entering like the Dota Invitational and playing on this thing.
Right.
Like serious gamers are not going to use it.
So, well, but I mean, I think people who get deep into Dota also occasionally buy a copy of Saints Row or Oblivion or whatever, and then you get like that's where this comes in.
Right.
Oblivion, Skyrim, whatever your game is.
They also come back to the idea that like even for the convenience, I don't want to play Saints Row on a little screen like that.
That's
I want to play
thing.
that on a big screen.
Is I was a little bit bummed that I was playing a game that I was pretty stoked about on a shitty little tiny screen.
It's less so that I was bummed about it, but that the screen doesn't scale down to a 5-inch screen well.
Right. The text was still readable and all that stuff. That was better than I expected it to be.
But it's just not the same experience. There's a reason why we like big screens.
There's a reason I've been playing PC games on the 55-inch TV in my living room and not on my 30-inch monitor.
I mean, I wouldn't call that a big
office.
screen, but yeah.
58-inch, Gary. Sorry. I had a couple of times when I was playing Saints Row in the office here, which is admittedly a Wi-Fi dense environment, where I dropped during video dropped during cutscenes and stuff like that.
But it can also play games that are just native to that system, right?
They're only Android games.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little thin. It's a touchscreen on top, although that touchscreen is kind of unusable, but just because of the way the controller is. Like you'd never play a touchscreen only game with that, I don't think.
You never type on this either.
Yeah, never type. It's the controller is okay. It kind of mimics. It's a hybrid kind of Xbox 360 PS3 layout. The two thumbsticks are at the bottom, but it has like an Xbox 360 kind of feel to the grips and to the triggers and bumpers.
I mean, even down to the color and the positioning of the buttons. It's clearly Xbox 360 inspired.
The triggers are real tight in not a necessarily good way. It's hard to hit the triggers and the bumpers. Like to do the two-finger thing where you put your index fingers on the bumpers and your middle fingers on the triggers, just because of the ergonomics of the controller. And I feel like the sticks are tighter than I like on a normal controller. But that's the bigger problem is the triggers and the bumpers are hard to do. I think it's $300.
$300.
Yeah, it's like it is a. The other thing is that the start select button placement is wrong. They have the Android home button where the start button should be, which required a little bit of retraining. It's like it is a classic. This is a first gen product that will be better by the time the second gen comes along, if there is a second gen.
All right. Yeah, I don't really get it. It's cool, but
I mean, look, I am core demographic for this. I compete with. We have one TV in the house. I compete with everyone else in the house for that for playing games. There are many times that I could sit with a pair of headphones on and play PC games in my living room, and like that is a perfectly good use of my time. I don't know that it's worth $300 to me, especially since I don't have an appropriate video card.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I've also been testing that automatic thing.
What's
Norm,
that?
do you agree, disagree?
I agree to some extent. I don't think it's worth $300, but I think that for the right games, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, it is a much better experience than I expected. Like it works at a much higher level than I expected, given what they're doing, especially for first out of the gate. Automatic is a thing that you plug into the data port on your car. We talked about it a little bit last week, but people had a lot of questions. And it basically tells you when you're driving badly and tracks things like fuel mileage and distance driven and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I can look at an app on my phone, which I'm going to do right now.
Some insurance companies are offering things like this now, where you plug a little thing in your phone and into your car, and it tracks how you drive, and you can get money off your insurance.
Exactly. I think Allstate has one.
Yeah.
So in the last week, I've spent $73 on fuel. I've gotten an average of 22.8 miles per gallon, 22.5 miles per gallon, rather. I've spent 12 hours in the car, and I've driven 371 miles. and it breaks down individual drives. Like I drove, it hasn't updated in a day or two. That's weird. But yeah, it's interesting. It beeps when you drive too fast or brake too hard or accelerate too fast. That is annoying and jarring every time it happens. I'm going to turn it off as soon as I'm done testing. But it's kind of a neat thing for $70 if you want to have metrics about how you drive.
All right.
That's the long and short of it. If your insurance company will give you something similar for free, I would probably hesitate to do that because I don't know that I want my insurance company knowing how I'm driving exactly. That seems a little creepy to me. But rather pay somebody else and have that service along with
Well, I think the way
product.
they try to incentivize you is they'll lower your premium if you're plugging in.
I understand, but the other side of that is that if you're a shit driver, then they're going to raise your premium, right? I gotta assume.
Well, I think the point is they'll lower the premium just for you having it in there.
Oh, okay. I still don't want them knowing that much about me. Like I'm always reticent to give my health insurance, access to my medical records.
Yeah.
Gary, you've been involved with this thing called Hot Pepper Gaming.
Oh, this is part of what we're testing?
Well, I thought.
I guess
you
it kind of
put
is
it in
in a
what we're
way.
testing.
No, I mean, you can put it anyway. I was mentioning I thought it was cool. So I just, I guess it's been around for
Well,
a
never
while.
mind.
But somebody at some point, there's that point where like something goes viral or like people suddenly are aware of it. There's a YouTube channel called. I broke your fucking tumbler. This
That's
thing
all right. Don't
is
worry about
shit.
it. Don't worry about it. I'll super glue it.
There's a YouTube channel called Hot Pepper Gaming, and to cut a long story short, they have a team of reviewers,
Okay.
and they review the latest games. But before each review, at the start of the video, they will eat a very, very hot pepper.
So these
Now,
like
how hot?
CNET style, like stand in front of a green screen.
Yeah, it's a person
kind of
sitting at a
read
desk
script.
or on a couch or whatever, and they've got a little, picture-in-picture thing up in the corner showing the game.
Is it
And
a
they do-
teleprompter?
It looks like it.
Yeah, I think they're reading off a script.
Okay. Because
So
you
it's-
can't think.
So it's like any number of video game reviews you've seen, except they eat an extremely hot pepper first, and then try to just get through the review.
I really
and
don't.
it's very amusing.
I don't like hot. Like I
How
like
hot?
hot. Like the one I saw was a habanero, which is
I don't like
100,000
them.
Scovilles or something. I don't know how.
So
what
I
that
think
shit
typically
is, but-
what they eat is a habanero pepper.
Okay.
They just chew up a whole
Yeah.
one and then go, and have varying degrees of tolerance for it. I would recommend watching the Monster Hunter 3 review as a good example of how bad it can get. Anyway, so I tweeted about it. People have been sharing it today. People have been.
It was very
discovering
popular
this.
on the internets.
Yeah, and somebody tweeted me back and said, "Oh, you should do one. You should go and do a
Yeah.
guest review." And I said, "Oh, I would if they would have me, just like not thinking about it." And then I got a response back
Good
from their
luck.
Twitter account saying, "Well, we will have you. You should come in and do it."
Good luck,
So
Gary.
I think I'm going to do it. They're down in LA. Next time I go to LA, I'm going to try and drop in and do it.
I'm just more worried about that. Like the thing I don't like about the spicy food isn't the going in, which is fine. It's the coming out, which is not good.
They have a glass of milk there because that, people that know this sort of thing
Yeah.
know that what you really want to do is drink milk. Drinking water won't do very
I've
much.
got a pro tip for you on spicy food because
Yeah.
I got a jalapeno one time that wasn't a jalapeno.
Yeah.
Canned whipped cream.
Oh, that's good, is it?
Canned whipped cream will
is it just-
fill all the volume
it's
of
like
your mouth.
fire retardant foam that just
Exactly.
fills your mouth.
So you take the can, shake it up, upside down.
they
just-
should
I mean,
sell the canned
until
whipped
it's
cream.
blasting out.
That's something that I like to do anyway.
Yeah, why
so-
not?
They should sell canned whipped cream that looks like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
That's great.
Right?
Yeah.
And you just like little mini fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant
Yeah.
Kickstarter ideas.
Yeah.
Now it's really important that you don't hold the can up because like you'll whip it yourself and you don't want to do that.
Right.
But like upside down, tilt your head back,
Yeah.
just
I might
until
do that.
it's
I
blasting
might
out your
bring my
nose
own
and everything.
props. So I said I would do it. You should definitely check out Hot Pepper Gaming. There's some very good reviews on there.
Pretty dumb.
And I suggested that actually could be a good segment for Oktoberkast even.
I'm not committing to that.
I think the guys at Hot Pepper Gaming
Oktoberkast-
would, for the sake of charity, for Child's Play, would very happily sub-license their brand to us for one day.
If it doesn't involve me eating the pepper, I'm totally down.
well,
but
we
I'm
can
not
maybe
eating
have
the
one of those
pepper
guys
on-
come
no,
in and do
thanks.
a review for us.
It's too long a show to cripple your mouth.
Why do it at the
Maybe
end of the
get Jeff
show?
Green to do it. He'll do anything.
Plus,
true.
plus, let's see if we can,
We get him some
if we get
Tapatio Doritos.
X number of donations in a certain hour at a certain time period, maybe we'll.
That's all you, Norm.
obliged to do it.
Norm is eating a pepper on Oktobercast. If we raise how much money?
For the kids.
So then
Okay.
I ended up going
Undetermined
down a
yet.
rabbit hole this morning of watching videos of people eating ghost peppers, which is apparently quite a popular YouTube thing to do.
It's right below getting kicked in the balls.
It's good to see you making productive
then you
use
found
of
the
your time.
one.
Well, so I found the ultimate YouTube video of a guy eating ghost pepper and then getting kicked in the balls. It was like, that's it. Close down the internet.
So
we're done.
The amazing thing about this video, because you showed it to us.
Yeah,
The
so you gotta
amazing
watch
thing
this
about
video.
the video. This is a great segment. Nothing better on This Is Only a Test than describing YouTube
We'll put
videos to
we'll
people.
put the link to the videos in the comments.
Okay, great. We're not going to do that. If we're
I
going to
will.
say,
I'll post a comment.
okay, Gary will post a comment.
I'll post the YouTube links.
The guy who does the ball kicking is wearing an Eeyore costume, which is
yeah,
real
it's so
fucking
surreal.
weird.
It's like through the looking glass type stuff.
Yeah, it's people taking too many drugs. Norm, your Dragon Con, how you shoot at Dragon Con thing is up. We talked about it a little bit last week.
How do you like your first Dragon Con?
I didn't talk to you about Dragon Con
For
because Jeremy
cosplay,
about
this
it.
is like the perfect scenario.
Yeah, your favorite. This is only a test guest, Jeremy Williams.
My favorite non-Gary. This is only a test guest.
It's all right. I get it.
It is Jeremy Williams, correct? I love going to Dragon Con. I want to go back. I would go even if work didn't give me the opportunity to go. I would go.
Yeah,
Had a lot of
it
fun.
looks like a lot of fun.
It's a party nonstop. It's big hotel ballroom or big
Yep.
hotel atriums,
Yep.
lobbies,
Yep.
and at 8 p.m. lights go down. It's a big rave. Everyone in costume.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That sounds great.
and people just
Orgies?
partying. I don't know about the
A lot of
orgies.
people- I bet there's
there's
a lot of people hooking up.
a lot of hotel room parties.
Like, 'cause
private
if you think,
parties.
like, if there's someone there's got to be, because you think about it, right? It's like there's got to be someone they're going like, it's my fantasy to have sex with Jack Sparrow, and there's someone else. There's a Jack Sparrow over here going like, it's my fantasy to have sex with, I don't know, Sailor Moon. There's infinite numbers of combinations.
It's not
right?
canon. It's not canon, Gary.
It's not canon. It's fan fiction.
I just
But
googled Dragon
someone-
Con misconnections.
but presumably, people are able to get together and fulfill those fantasies.
yes, and what a place.
It sounds good.
But the best thing is that those atriums, I talked about this last week, was that you're walking, even during the day, and everyone's still in costume for about 24 hours.
Right.
And you're walking, you see, okay, there's a Mass Effect crew over there.
Yep.
There's some Klingons over here.
Right.
There's some other video game thing over here. Some stormtroopers over there. It's like walking through a space station.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, man, Constable Odo would not like this.
What's your and you were in costume.
And I was in the Star Trek
yeah.
costume. So
You
I
were
was like,
JJ Sulu, right?
Yeah, I was like,
JJ versus Sulu.
JJ Command. It's like
He wasn't Sulu.
You were Sulu.
three stripes.
3 stripes. He's the
but
captain.
you were in yellow.
So is Kirk.
Kirk was yellow.
But you hold on, you yourself
deep
said you
racist
tweeted, look for me,
conversation.
I'll be the one dressed as Sulu.
I'm the one who looks like a Sulu.
Oh. So you weren't Sulu. You were Kirk.
I was Norm.
Norm was feeding stereotypes.
Okay. But you had the Kirk command stripes.
I found Dragon Con misconnections, which may be better than PAX misconnections.
I bet there's some good ones in
Please read. You know what?
there. No, mate,
I will be-
only read it if there's a good one.
Love Potion number 9. Avengers Ball, cute brunette boy in army dress uniform. You said you were a chemist who just moved to Atlanta. You're teaching me how to swing dance. I was the girl in the Marvel Heroes dress with the knee-high red Converse. I'm still kicking myself for not. That one's not that good. There's a bunch of Khal Drogo ones here that I can't read on the internet.
Of course there are.
And then here's this one.
My mood of moons.
You, Velma Dinkley, with a tank top instead of the usual sweater. Me, just deliberately disheveled Ravenclaw boy covered in lipstick smooches.
That's all you need. That's all
That's
you
it.
need.
Fantastic.
That's all you
that,
need.
that paints a word
Gold.
picture for me.
Yeah.
What was your favorite costume that you saw? What do you think was the best one?
I was Finn. You were Fiona. I don't even know what that is.
That's Adventure Time.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm telling you, there's got to be so much fucking that goes on at Dragon Con. Because seriously, people are into this shit. Like, it is the ultimate, like, LARPing / fiction, right? That's basically what's going on there.
I was your Kirk. You were my Spock.
No, but I think it's more interesting to mash up universes, right?
It's more like no. I'm only into the non-canon stuff.
Yeah. Do you think if they try to hook up, like somebody from like Disney
That's
or
true.
would come over and say you can't do that? That's not
Yeah,
canon.
right. There's an official Disney
Harry Potter and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings.
fraternizing with the DC people.
But that's like kind of geek racism. It's like, no, we should all be able to, you know.
You were Hermione. I was Legolas.
So I went
Yeah.
to a meetup with all Marvel people. It was like almost 200 people just in Marvel.
Just a Marvel
costumes.
meetup.
And
Now,
it's
if you walked in there as Batman, what would happen? Would they like kick the shit out of the guy, or like
they
what
would ask you to not.
They would
be
say, like,
involved.
this is not-
You're not allowed to be in the pictures.
This is not canon.
You're not in the pictures with because there was a group photo opportunities.
Right.
And this guy dressed as Banshee from the Marvel Universe, from the
Okay.
X-Men. He with this big megaphone on. He was directing people where to go. He was like, "All the Avengers, go, in this corner, this staircase.
Right.
All the X-Men over on this part of the courtyard. All the Spider-Men over there. All the Shield people over there.
Right.
And Wolverine's like, where do I go? I'm in everything.
Oh yeah,
Right?
It's tricky.
Right?
He's an Avenger. He's an X-Man.
Hey, there you go.
Wolverine's not an
Questions.
Avenger, is he?
He's an Avenger.
He has been.
He's an Avenger and an X-Man.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
where does he find the time?
I know.
And he's an X-Force. I know.
He's not in the Fantastic Four though.
No.
A couple issues.
Yet. Paxman's connections are good as well. I'm not going to get into them. It's too much.
The people were super nice. Everyone was good spirited. Everyone had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It seems like a good event, especially now that they've got.
Did you go to any panels or sessions or anything?
Just a few panels. Like Adam was in a couple panels, but the tracks, because it was all split into themed tracks.
Yeah.
It's just runs the gamut. You have tracks on alternate histories, just panels about people talking about alternate histories.
Yeah.
Like
That
what
sounds
if
pretty
lame. This war happened. You have your
What if the 100 Years of War was really only 79
you know what?
years?
A lot of people are in that.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I mean,
For people-
there's no judgment.
Dragon Con does seem like the purest geek event of all of them,
Yeah.
right? Like this is
It is
what, you don't go there as a casual fan.
The con of no judgment. Is there like a board game session or anything like that? Do people play games?
There was a whole track on board gaming.
I gotta assume there's like if you were going to dress up for your D&D campaign, this is the place to do it.
What's the ratio of people dressed up to not dressed up?
Very high. I think at least 25% were dressed up.
Which actually is
It's
kind
a
of high.
very.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
And it's not like crappy costumes. It's not like somebody dressed up as Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. It's like real
that
costumes.
would,
very
be
creative.
that would be a very easy one
Yeah.
to do.
Yes.
I mean,
I could put that together in about 5 minutes with
Yeah.
shirts
I
I
felt
already
out
own.
of place at night in the parties if you were not dressed up.
Interesting.
It's a Halloween party.
So
house party.
what are you going to do? Are you planning costumes for next year already?
Thinking about it.
Okay.
Talk to some friends. Have something commissioned. Go sew something.
Let's see. Gary, you've been contemplating horror games on the Oculus. I
so
hesitate to put this in what we're testing.
I found this interesting. As you know, I'm a big fan of the Oculus Rift, and I really can't wait for it to come out. I'm very excited to get my hands on the HD version.
They
which is
demoed it
even better.
at PAX, and the reports are, I don't know if this is true, but the people got pink eye from the demo stations.
Don't share the.
Oh well, yeah,
Oculus.
because you're sharing. Yeah,
You're
that's-
rubbing your
you've got
eyeball
the
on
fact
that thing.
disease
Someone
already
rubbed
going
their butt
around.
on it.
Yeah, I can understand why that could be a bit scary.
Wash your hands after you go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
kids.
So I love the Oculus Rift. I can't wait for it to be a real product. I can't wait to get one. But it has occurred to me in the past that it is so immersive that it could be it could get to a point where it's too much. And I remember I was playing Gone Home, which isn't a horror game,
No.
but certainly plays on some of your horror expectations. They're like dark rooms that you don't necessarily want to go in, and it freaks you out a little bit in places. I remember thinking, man, on the Oculus Rift, this would just be too intense. And so I started going down the rabbit hole of looking at, there are horror games and horror demos out there for the Oculus. There's a lot of games like Amnesia and Outlast, which are fully intended to just scare the shit out of you. In an Oculus Rift iteration, that would be absolutely terrifying. Anyway, I was talking to Ben Kuchera from Penny Arcade Reports and Patrick, who's is big into horror games, about some of this. And apparently Ben has been playing some of them, and there are some good YouTube videos out there of people playing some of these horror games with the Oculus Rift. They're just getting freaked out. Like, I couldn't do it. It's too much. And Patrick was trying to... He's a real connoisseur of horror games, as you know.
He's a horror aficionado.
Has been saying, like... He's hardcore in the sense that he's saying, like... I think at one point I said, like... It would go beyond the point for me where it's not fun anymore. It would just be torture.
Dude,
He's going, dude, that's where you want to get to. It's like horror games are not about having fun.
And
it's about like pushing yourself to the limit.
But I don't like
that.
that.
Is not me.
I didn't want to
could
play
not do
Doom
that.
3.
Yeah.
Like
It
if
was
you
too
play
scary.
or Dead Space 2.
Fatal Frame 2 was, and
I
that's
played
years
Dead
ago.
Space 2. I didn't think it
Fatal
was
Frame
scary.
2 on the PlayStation 2 is the last
Dead Space 2
horror
not
game
scary.
I played. I could not finish it.
And because Oculus Rift, people can see what's on the screen.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity to jump scare you in real life because
Right.
you can't see where everyone is around you,
No.
and they know when you're about to hit a scary moment.
It's
and
too
they could, like, throw
immersive.
some spiders on you.
It's too immersive, man.
There's not enough money for me to play Penumbra Overture or Amnesia or
I
one of
think
those
this
games.
is another great Oktoberkast segment.
Okay, there is enough money for me to play Amnesia with the Oculus on live on Oktoberkast.
I think you should play some Amnesia on Oktoberkast or Outlast or one of
Only
these games
people
on
have
Oculus
to give
Rift.
right. Or what's the one with the Slender Man? I'm not eating
Well,
the
there's a
fucking
bunch of Slender
peppers,
Man games.
but I'll do this.
All right. I'll do
Yeah.
the peppers. You do Oculus
Right.
horror.
I mean I think that we should have a Lego build off, a hot pepper Lego build off.
We could do that too. Oh, that would be fun. Building Lego while eating hot peppers.
Yeah.
All right. But you have to do Oculus horror games.
Yeah, and then you and Norm can do the Lego build-off. Hot pepper
I
Lego
think doing
build-off.
things with doing anything while
It's a
after doing
terrible
hot
idea.
peppers-
Patrick was saying that
Pretty funny.
because he wants to go all in for the most horrific experience. He doesn't even play these games during the day. He likes to play them at night when it's dark. And I was saying the great thing about Oculus is you can play them anytime because you know,
I think if you're surrounded
completely surrounds your vision.
by people and a lot of stimuli, and you don't feel like you're actually alone in the real world, that will alleviate some of the horror.
People who haven't used the Oculus yet won't fully appreciate it. When you put that thing on, you're so there. The idea of walking around a terrifying haunted house where things are going to jump out and scare you, just could not do it.
What you also need is good surround sound headphones.
Yes.
And also your hands need to be taped to the controller so you can't actually take the glasses off.
Oh my god, that's the worst thing
So
I've
it's
ever
like
heard.
Edward Drunken Hands, except you're taped to the controller and you have to
It's
play.
Edward 40 hands. Norm.
40
couldn't
hands.
do it.
And you can't look away. You can't.
Oh, that's
'cause-
terrible.
I couldn't do it.
That's so
yeah,
bad.
That's like Room 101 type shit there. I could not do it. But you'll do it for Oktobercast.
I'll do it for Oktobercast. I'm not taking my hands to the controller.
You need to
Fuck
start
you guys.
looking into getting the Rift compatible. Ben will know.
We have the technology.
Find
to make that happen.
the Rift compatible
I
versions
wanna
of
say
games
that-
like Outlast and Amnesia and the really, really fucked up scary
Yeah, the
games.
Amnesia Machine for Pigs.
Yeah.
I think is out now, and
Yeah.
I think it has Oculus, but it may be a hack.
You need to play some of these games.
This is a terrible idea.
Just get a heart rate monitor also.
We have
Yeah,
that.
we should hook you
We
up.
have that here. We could do all
if
sorts of
if
stuff.
Will can beat X number of beats per minute, then donate X number. It's
All right, I'm totally down with this idea. This could be the best Oktobercast ever.
Every Oktobercast
And
should
it's
be the
close.
best
And it's
Oktobercast
close to
ever.
Halloween, so it'll be like Spooktobercast.
Every
Theme
Oktobercast
appropriate.
is the best Oktobercast ever.
We should
I
have
don't know,
Patrick
the
come
first
in and
one's
talk
pretty
about
good.
horror.
We can have Patrick. Patrick, I'm sure Patrick is.
He's in
I hope
Chicago.
Oh, he is in Chicago. Shit.
Oh, that's right. Well, we'll Skype him in or something.
Skype guests never work. Bill was okay last year, I guess.
Yeah, the technology's getting better.
Yeah. Let's see. Yoga 2, we talked about it a little bit last week. You had hands on. We're getting a unit, but it's not here yet, I assume.
It's released in October. So
What is this, a new laptop?
Remember
the Yoga, the one with
Oh, the
like,
Lenovo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
the new one.
It's like a
I
Surface,
like
but
that.
good.
I was very impressed by that.
Yeah.
New one is thinner, lighter, has
Better battery.
keyboards.
Okay.
Let's see. I installed Mavericks on my laptop the other day.
Oh, how is that? I didn't really even realize there was a build of that available.
It's a developer build again.
What do you like about it? What do you don't like
It's
about it?
pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like the,
OS X upgrades never feel.
You mean OS 10?
I mean OS X.
Yeah.
They
I
don't.
don't know what you're talking about. Then I'm sorry.
They don't. I just call it OS X. They don't ever. They never seem to wow the way that the iOS upgrades do.
So like
Most of that stuff's happening in the background.
the notification pane is better. It supports. I upgraded it actually because it supports the iOS. Some of the iOS 7 features better. So you can. I don't think you can AirDrop to. You can only AirDrop to Mavericks or newer OS 10s from iOS 7.
Does anyone here use notification pane in?
I
OS
use
10?
it to turn off
Not really.
notifications when we're podcasting, so it doesn't make noise. That's the one place. Occasionally, I'll see a notification that I want to see, like a Twitter DM. or something.
What's like the signature feature of Mavericks? Is there one big feature that they're trumpeting, or is it just like a long list of little features?
It's a long list of little features, I believe. I'm going to open up the.
OS Extreme.
Yeah.
It is.
I wish I had the job of the of naming them now, because it's all going to be like California locations.
So it's the calendar is flatter and looks more. They've taken a lot of the skeuomorphic crap out, so
Right.
there's no leather on the calendar.
Right.
OS 10 Joshua Tree.
Notifications float.
I would just come up with shitty places. OS X Fresno.
OS 10 mystery spot.
you
Santa
really-
Cruz.
I've never even been to
Santa
Fresno.
Cruz mystery spot.
It supports keychain. It supports tags in Finder. It's kind of underwhelming.
OS 10 Eureka, California.
Eureka's nice.
Eureka with a Y. That Eureka.
Yeah. Let's see what else we've been testing. Sphero 2.0. It's not very good. The new software for Sphero really sucks. The new Sphero is nice. It's twice as fast. The battery's the same. It's a super cool little robot toy. It's still too expensive. And the version 2.0 software is really unfortunate in that it has all these weird RPG elements. So you have to level up your ball before it goes at the full speed that it's capable of and full brightness and all that. It's silly. I ate a shitload of oysters this weekend. I went to Moss Bay.
Is this still testing?
I shocked myself with a knife. I tested the OXO oyster knife. It's okay.
Hey, Kindle's coming out with a new Paperwhite.
We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
With Jeremy Williams.
I'm curious to know if it's any better than the... It doesn't feel like that would be worth upgrading from the current Paperwhite,
nope.
right? They say better screen, but it's not going to be...
It's not...
Probably something you'd barely
I would be
notice.
stunned if there's a reason to update your Kindle
I've been on a
Paperwhite for a few years.
I've been on a reading binge lately, though.
What have you been reading?
Well, we can... Do you want to do that as part of this?
Yeah, let's do it at the outtakes. Okay. You want to take a question or two? We got a couple good ones.
All right. Emails?
Well, but we do the other one.
Emails.
'Cause it's, we don't do emails. We do
Emails.
No.
Questions.
Boom.
If you have a question for This Is Only a Test, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Please keep your emails short or your questions shorter, under 45 seconds, and make sure it doesn't sound like you're recording it from, right next to a space shuttle launch. Our first question comes to us from Adam. Hey, Will, Norm, and all. Love the show. Been listening for a few years now. He's from Toronto. He says, anyway, Will, I was hoping you could go into more detail about the electric car solar panel 1-2 punch the California state government is trying to entice upper middle class families to buy into. The whole thing is geared towards time of day sensitive pricing for electricity, which on its own seems somewhat sensible, and paying you for generating electricity in times of high demand, with the solar, I guess, when it's daytime, the sun is out, and air conditioners, offices, and factories are running, and charging you very little for charging your car when the power stations are looking to offload demand to ramp down. Are there two serious problems with this? I'm just reading the email as it's written. I'm a total layman here, but it seems like only moderately wealthy or at least highly creditworthy can benefit from this scheme, and that it won't put a dent in California's contribution to CO2 emissions if prices stay low at night. Or that if it is widely adopted, it will lead to more demand for non-time of day sensitive forms of electricity and higher prices at night, right? So my question is this, cut to the chase. Am I mistaken, or is this not a masturbatory gesture being subsidized by the California state government? Does it not constitute a transfer of wealth from poor to wealthy in the name of helping wealthy Californians feel less guilty about their impact on the environment? Any clarification would be a big help. Adam from Toronto.
Just, apropos of nothing, do you read these before you read them out on air, or you just kind of discovering them as you go?
I didn't remember it being quite that verbose.
It was.
I think I just skipped the TLDR at the end when I read it initially, which probably would have been a good idea in retrospect.
Yeah.
It's a good question, though, because his question, I'm going to sum it up. His question is, does the California electric car benefits and solar panel benefits, are they actually doing something good, or are they just to make you feel better and maybe help you make a deal?
I don't know enough about it to have an informed opinion.
Occasionally we get really good, serious questions.
All I know is Ed Asner's on my TV every fucking night telling me to put solar panels on my house because the California government will pay for it.
So that's the thing is... Norm, did you read Maggie's Before the Lights Go Out book?
Not all of it.
Okay, so
chapters.
I hit the high points as well. And the thing that I didn't understand before reading that book is that the electric grid in the United States, and I assume most of the world, is purely demand based. So when there is excess generation, that energy just gets wasted. And when electricity that's generated at, say, the nuclear power plant down in Monterey or Diablo Canyon or whatever, or with the wind farms in Tehachapi, or with solar panels on somebody's roof down the street from me, Lloyd's roof, that energy is used immediately. There's no way to store it, and there's nowhere for it to go if there's excess. So that's why they give subsidy. As I understand it, that's why California's electric company subsidizes electric rates for people who own electric cars to charge late at night, and also is giving subsidies to people who put solar panels on their roof, because solar panels on the roof provide excess capacity at peak times in the mid-afternoon, like Adam said, when factories are churning, everybody has their air conditioners going on the hot days. Solar is a inexpensive way compared to building more power plants to increase supply at those peak times. That's my understanding of the rationale behind time of demand, sales, and pricing for solar energy in California.
Is it possible that you could just solar your house in such a way that you could just cut yourself off from the grid entirely and power your car and everything?
You can, but it's much more sensible to put energy back into the grid, because the time that solar is most beneficial during the daytime when the sun's out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon is also the time that demand is highest, and the power company will pay most for your electricity.
Storage problem too, energy storage.
Having to have a whole shitload of batteries, like lead acid car batteries in your garage, is not what you want. If you have a creek on your property, I know people who have powered their whole thing with hydro.
When are
so
we
you
going to
put
have
a small hydro station?
When are we going to have solar cars? Like cars that have solar panels
Probably
on the roof?
Probably never, unless the efficiency of the solar panels goes way up in the
purely
next
solar?
That would be
10
awesome.
years. But then you wouldn't be able to go anywhere at night.
Yeah, you would, because the solar panel, it would do what the lights in my garden do. They build up power during the day and they use it at night.
It's my understanding that with current batteries and current solar, it's much more effective to charge batteries in the car than to try to have solar that feeds directly in. Like have more efficient, bigger solar panels in your yard or a roof or whatever. The benefit of plugging in the cars at night is that it creates a pool of energy, also a large demand of things that can be turned on and off remotely by the power company to help even out supply and demand curve on the power generation.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's if you read the Before the Lights Go Out, it explains that a lot of the problems we have with our grid are due to relatively small fluctuations in supply and demand rippling out and having unintended side effects and causing the whole thing to sag and then brown out massive parts of the grid. The upshot is this is why the power company wants you to put a thing on your electric hot water heater and on your air conditioner that lets them turn it off remotely so that they can control supply side as well as demand side. And electric cars are part of that as well.
All right.
So anyway, but that's probably a really bad explanation. And if you have a better one, leave it in the comments. We have one more question. It's another solar panel question. This one is from Opie2 from the forums. He says, here's my question. We have a hut in the Tyrolean Alps and there is no electricity. I thought about somehow connecting a portable solar panel to an immersion heater to heat up a big tub of water from the well. In the summer, the sun will do that for us, but in the winter, a warm shower after skiing would be great, even if you had to take it outside. Any ideas on whether the output would be enough for this task, or would we simply need a larger array, which would be too costly, of course? Thanks, and always keep testing.
That guy has a very different lifestyle than I do.
I just wanted to run this question because I don't
sounds
know anybody
kind
who
of
has
better,
a
though.
hut
Like, he's
in
got
the
no electricity,
Tyrolean
but he
Alps.
spends all day skiing. I mean, it actually kind of sounds better.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I think you should just build a fire under a big kettle. That's my advice. Probably not real good on the carbon dioxide. I don't think that your solar panels are going to run a heater for any substantial amount of water. Maybe warm a hot tub. I don't know. Thoughts? Tyrolean Alps.
He definitely went to the right place for advice.
The Tyrolean Alps are in like southern Europe.
It sounds like something from Star Wars.
I got to head down to the Tyrolean Alps to pick up some power converters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rebel
sure you're
base.
back
We've located the
before-
Rebel base deep in the Tyrolean Alps.
We're going to get so reamed on geography. So that's it for us this week. Gary, Wood, anything you want to plug? You haven't been on in a while. Well, I mean, it's been a couple weeks, I guess.
I don't think I do have anything I want to plug.
Okay. Gary Wood, nothing to plug. Norman Chan, always a ton of good stuff on the site. Living with Photography about shooting at cons is up this week. The Draugr, competing Skyrim armors of Harrison Cricks and Bill Doran, Chinbeard, and Vulpin Props is also great. It uses the new format. Do we talk about the new? Yeah. Oh no, we didn't. It wasn't up yet, I guess. We have the new feature format on the site now. You should check it out and let us know what you think. It is optimized for tablets, but it looks great on desktop as well and shows like it's one column and really cool and very modern and neat. And I think it turned out really nicely. And always good stuff on the site and more video. We'll be at World Maker Faire next week, so I don't know exactly. We'll probably record a podcast from there or from here before we leave or something. I don't know. We'll do something. And be back next week or the week after with another episode of This Is Only a Test. Stay tuned for some fake outtakes. Today's outro comes to us from Shadowlight. If you would like to leave your own outro, Google raw outro song file, and Lane was kind enough to post all the instructions there. Here is the outro. Hi there, I didn't see you.
Test it.
I can show you something that would make you unhappy almost immediately.
Test it.
I seem to remember at the time that was said, thinking that's going to end up in a...
I don't
In an
remember what the
outro.
context was for that at all.
Well, I think I was talking about my penis.
Norm's.
I don't think that you were specifically.
But that was the inference. that was what the joke was supposed to be.
That's what
the context in which the statement, how it rose up, I don't know.
Please keep your penis in your
How it
pants.
rose.
How it rose.
Yeah, very good.
May as well keep it going.
We're going to talk about books. Let's talk about books a little bit.
I love talking about books.
And people like book talk.
Do they?
They seem to.
They don't like when we talk about video games, but they like when we talk about books.
I think they're probably less knowledgeable about books and more knowledgeable about video games.
What does that say about our audience?
Or America.
Yeah, whatever. It's good. I like video games. Do you like video games, Gary?
I like video games and books.
Hey, Norm?
I'm a fucking man for all seasons.
Do you like video games?
Video games are pretty good.
Okay. I read.
What's the last book you read?
What's the
last book are you reading anything right now?
Yeah, I'm always reading something. I just finished Neptune's Brood by Charles Strauss, which is the second in that series. It's pretty good.
What is it? What's that about?
Imagine a world, Gary Whitta,
all right,
where humanity was wiped out due to some error on our part.
Okay.
But we had built a massive number of autonomous robots. Robots that could build other robots. And
was it the robots that wiped us out?
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Maybe some plague came.
Okay. So we died, but the robots
were left unclear why
behind.
we died, but it seems like the robots probably weren't responsible.
The robots are still around.
The robots miss us. Maybe not a ton, some of them more than others. But the robots have built a society and gone out and explored the universe and done all sorts of stuff. So it's a story about the robots.
Why is it called Neptune's Brood? I thought it was going to be like fish people.
I think the first one was called Saturn's Child. This one's yeah, it's a series. It's a Charles Strauss.
Are the robots allegory for us?
I think probably, yeah.
Do we miss our makers?
Is this like high-end literary, or is it like Airport Beach, just a quick
it's somewhere. So Charlie Strauss is in between. He does he writes the laundry books, which are probably what he's best known for. I know Lloyd really likes them.
I don't think I know those.
You'd like him. He's English or Scottish, I guess. But he writes the laundry books are basically about a paranormal MI6. Oh, so imagine that out there somewhere there are mathematicians who do in a world that higher level math, like crazy high level math and sorcery are basically the same, and that by doing the wrong kind of math with the wrong speed, you can unlock gates to untold horrors deep beneath the ocean.
Sounds like a movie.
It's really good. Yeah,
it would make 5 movies combined in one.
It would make a great movie. The laundry books are a good place to start.
Yeah, I love movies about math in particular. It's my favorite subject.
It's like Primer meets
R.I.P.
the Avengers.
Pie.
You just sold me on it.
Meets Pacific Rim.
Yeah,
from the
that's
ocean.
exactly it.
There you
It. That's really good. I'm reading Pirate Cinema by Cory Doctorow right now.
Pirates Enema?
Pirate Cinema.
Oh. I like my version.
Pirates
better.
Enema is a completely different
Pirates
movie.
Enema sounds much better.
Literary masterpiece.
Best thing I read lately was Neil Gaiman's Ocean at the End of the Lane.
Oh yeah,
which
how
was
is that?
Fucking great.
Was that good?
Neil Gaiman books are
would
always
that be a good
great.
entry book for someone who hasn't read any Neil Gaiman?
I would read American Gods probably. He doesn't write series.
No, they're all
their own
shots,
thing,
right? Yeah.
Ocean at the End of the Lane is very charming. It is very good. American Gods is one of the best books written this century. It's fantastic. Everybody should read it. But if you have already read
maybe
it,
I'll read that next.
American Gods is pretty dense. It's a little heavier than say your Wool or something like that.
Okay.
I also tore through
in what
all
sense? Heavier in the sense of what?
Wool is a very fast read. It's not particularly, the prose isn't dense.
There's a copy of American Gods right there if you want to borrow it.
Well, it's not on a Kindle, is it?
No, it's
yeah,
not.
that's why I gave Norm my copy of American Gods. American Gods is something you kind of chew. It's not like Infinite Jest or something like that. It's not heavy, but where Wool is pulpy and almost like Dan Brown in its readability.
Yeah.
American Gods is a little. You want to kind of take your time with it.
Okay.
What have you finished the Wool books yet?
No, I'm some way through it now. I'm not sure. One of the only things that irritates me about reading on Kindle is I don't know how far I am through the book.
Well, the thing at the bottom of the page tells you.
I guess it tells you how long you have to go in time,
and
or
also
where you are in your location. But I like good old fashioned.
There's also a bar.
No, yeah, on your app, not on an actual Kindle. There isn't.
Yeah, it's just the dots on the bottom of the Kindle.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I don't know how far I am. I'm in part 4. It was a 5-part thing, right?
On the first series, though, the first omnibus.
Yes. So I just started part 4
Okay.
of the first omnibus.
I think that the Wool thing is fascinating because it's the first. I mean, I know there's been other stuff because 50 Shades of Grey, I guess, came out of Kindle singles and all that.
Yeah.
But it's the first thing I've been interested in that was like self-published. And
Yeah,
it's a dude.
Wool's a great story in that he published it himself.
Yeah,
And,
it was a short story at first.
Yeah. And then he built it out into these 5 parts to make him a full novel, and then a real publisher. I guess now publishing houses must have people that are dedicated to just looking at like the ebook self-published market and trying to figure, oh shit, this is going to be a big
It's like video
thing.
games,
Right? And then they come
kind
along,
of, yeah.
looking for
they
the
come
indie
along
stuff
and buy it.
Buy
them up.
Well, but he still self-publishes the newer things himself on Amazon,
Right? And he supports
then,
fan fiction that gets published in the universe.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's an exciting model. But I am reading Wool at the moment, and that's a good. Everyone said read it, and I'm reading it. And
It's really
you're right.
great.
It's like it's easy to read.
Yeah.
It's great world building, and it's. I'm enjoying it.
There's
It's
not
good.
necessarily a ton of subtext, but it's not needed for that kind of book. Like I was perfectly satisfied.
But it's a fascinating world, and you can see why they bought the movie rights to it, because
Yeah.
that's a world that you want to see realized.
Disney buys that, they can crank out 25 movies over the next 30 years
Fox
set in that
bought it, I
universe.
believe.
Well, whoever. I'm just
And
saying.
it's, everyone has their own imagination of what
Yeah.
Silo looks like, and there's a comic version of it that's coming out as well. Really great world building, great characters. You're right. The prose level is like, for me, that prose level is like the porridge is just right. Like doesn't feel like young adult, too remedial. But it doesn't feel like, the author's trying to be super clever. Like it's right in the middle where I like it.
Just to don't knock young adult. Like there's a lot of especially if you're into science fiction, a lot of good science fiction in the post Harry Potter, post what's the thing with Jennifer Lawrence Hunger Games world that is young adult, targeted at young adults, but it's high science
there's
fiction.
good young adult fiction. I mean, so after the Dadcast, Vinny and Dave and I talked a lot about books and fantasy books and what we like to read, because I was looking for
I'm bummed I
recommendations.
missed that conversation.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Fuck.
Anyway,
We should
Vinny's
do a book podcast. Wait.
Vinny's working his way through a series of books now called The Last Apprentice. And it's the series of books that they're making this Seventh Son movie out of with Jeff Bridges.
Oh, okay.
Where he's like the kind of the witch hunter, and he takes on a young apprentice. Based on those books.
So it's basically like The Witcher.
I guess similar to that.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, so Vinny said, I'm reading them. They're great. Like, they're really quick reads. Like, you can basically read one of these books in a day.
Yeah.
And I had a long airplane journey. I thought, well, I got to load up my Kindle. So I put a bunch of books on there, Wool and various others, some other stuff that I hadn't finished. And I read one of these Last Apprentice books, and it was gone in it took me 6 hours to read. It was really short. But I'm not sure if it's intended to be young adult, but like, as much as I enjoyed the story, the prose was too remedial for me.
Yeah.
Like, it almost felt like it was a kid's book, and that to me is not going to work. So I don't think I'll continue with the other books. But Wool was, for me, a big part of like the experience of a book is just the prose, right? So like that's why I love Patrick Rothfuss. His name of the one book.
Oh God, that book
prose
is so
is
good.
just like a gourmet meal, as opposed to something that might feel, like it's telling you the story, but you're not really, living in the richness of the prose.
The thing about the Rothfuss books is that he does the world building bit, which is the thing that Hugh Howey, I think, does with Wool really well. But on top of it is layered. It's just a pleasure to read.
But
it's something you want to read out loud.
But it's not about intricacy.
No,
right?
no.
It's
It's
like
not-
so. The other thing I just started reading, I never, it's a shame that it took his death to get me there. But I started reading Elmore Leonard, which I'd never read before.
Oh, right.
And I worked my way through a collection of his short stories. And the beauty of that prose is the simplicity of it. Like, there's no cleverness in, he's not looking for the longest word to describe something. Everything, it's almost kind of Hemingway-esque.
It's Spartan.
Short, it's terse, it just gets to the point, but it's still beautifully done.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about like the richness, enjoying a story just for the prose, it's not, I think, necessarily about what kind of literary hoops the author is jumping through to try and impress you. It's just how do you best tell the story, and there are clever ways to do that aren't necessarily about like long, intricate sentences and big words.
It's not about packing in the biggest words.
Yeah, so I've been really enjoying. I'm a big Hemingway fan, and for that same reason, I'm now enjoying Elmore Leonard.
I've never read Elmore Leonard.
We've
I'll
talked
have to go
about
back
this
and do
before,
that.
but for the same reason, Kurt Vonnegut, who has very, very quickly become, I think, my favorite author. Mm-hmm. One of the things I finished while I was on my trip was finished Welcome to the Monkey House. The rest of those stories.
Oh, those are great.
And I don't know how I missed this, but I didn't know that Kurt Vonnegut was basically a sci-fi author.
Well,
I had no idea.
Slaughterhouse-Five is a science fiction
Yes,
book.
it is, and I didn't know that until I read it. And I read a lot of his, like probably 60-75% of his stories are science fiction stories, and they're incredible.
I want to say that a lot of his books take place in the same world. Like The Cat's Cradle and Breakfast of Champions worlds are the same.
Yeah, because Theodore Sturgeon, that guy, the character, the Kilgore Trout, appears in a bunch of them. But like, you read all of those stories, right? There's one in particular about people that figure out how to leave their bodies, which is just incredible. just so good.
I haven't read this since I was in high school. I should go back and revisit.
Yeah, I
Vonnegut
discovered it
again.
really late, but it makes me want to go back and read everything Vonnegut ever wrote because he's just a fantastic. And
great.
then there's another guy that uses economy of language, and again, he's not trying to impress you with like florid prose or anything. Just tells an incredible story.
But it's the thing about somebody who does that well is that the sentences, it's simple and it flows really well and it's very readable.
Yeah.
But you end up with I bet if we sit down and talk about one of the sequences in The Name of the Wind, our mental picture of the pub that the framework story is told in
would all be different.
I don't think so. I think they're close.
No, I think they would be different.
You think so?
Yeah, because you always bring something of your own to it. That's why
That's
no matter
true.
how rich the world is, whenever they do the adaptation, people are like, oh, that's not how I pictured it.
Well, but if you look at stuff like yeah, I guess that's true. I don't know. We'll see. We'll compare notes before they make because they're going to make a TV series of Name of the Wind,
Yes, they are.
right?
A friend of mine is working on that.
What else have you been reading, Gary?
So like I'm trying to sustain it. I love when I'm reading. I feel like I write better. I write more when I'm reading. You just feel like
Recharges you.
It just enriches your life in every way. And I love that almost that drug-like feeling when you've got a good book that you can't wait to. You always want to be picking it up and reading it. But what happens is like I'll finish a book and I'm like, oh, that was so good. Like I want to read more. I've got to pick, and then I'm in that phase where I've got to have something else on deck. Because if I don't,
Yeah.
if I can pick something up right away and start reading, then the chain continues. But if a couple of days goes by and I don't pick up something else and read it, I can kind of lose the fire will go out, and then a couple of weeks will go by and I haven't read anything. So I've got to constantly be having something on deck to jump straight into as soon as I'm done.
Well, for a long time, I didn't. If I was reading something I wasn't particularly enjoying it, I would just keep slogging through, and then I'd kind of stall out.
Yeah.
So I've just stopped doing that. Like if I'm reading something that doesn't grab me in the first, say, 200 pages, I put it down and go read something else.
There have been a few books that, and you don't want to do it because you feel like if you get halfway through a book and stop, then that's just time wasted. But I've got like a third or a halfway through a book, and I'm just like, you know what? I just don't want to finish this. I just don't care.
Like I love Neil Stephenson's Anthem, however the fuck you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But it is a real slow starter, like most of his books are, and a lot of people just don't get into it at all.
Yeah.
I would have been really bummed if I hadn't pushed through and gotten to the end of that book because it's really gorgeous.
This is why it's great to find a great series because you can just go. Obviously, the next book immediately suggests itself.
Yeah, sometimes that goes badly for you, like the Song of Ice and Fire books, the George R. R. Martin what became Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Starts off amazing, and then quickly goes off the rails because there's just too much shit going on.
Right.
It became really overly complex.
Answer me this.
Yes.
When I'm done with Wool,
yes.
should I go on and read the other Shift and Dust? Should I read that stuff?
I've read the other two omnibuses.
Yeah.
And just so you know, if you go to buy these, it's really complex. If you want to try it out, there's a short story called Wool, and I think it's called like Wool Book 1. It's free usually on Amazon.
Right. I just bought the 1 to 5 omnibus.
That is because it's like $2.
Like it.
Yeah. But if you want to just try it out and don't want to pay for it, go get the first chapter.
So did he initially publish it like as a serial? He first put out just the first part 1, and then he wasn't published as a novel, right?
He initially published the bit about the sheriff.
Right.
As a standalone short story.
Right.
It was wildly successful, and he was like, shit, I got to do more.
So
and
what did he do?
the
Just
part
put it
about
up like
girl.
in the Kindle
I think he put it up as a Kindle single for 99 cents or $1 or something.
Yeah.
Or $2. I thought the second one was okay, and the third one puts a nice stamp on the end of the whole thing. If you get to the end of the first book and feel like you have as much closure as you need, you're perfectly good stopping there.
One of the complaints that I read was that it goes on to overly. It explains too much of the world.
So Brian Reed said that. I was in the same conversation on Twitter. He also didn't like the fourth Gunslinger book, which I thought was the best one.
Right.
So I found that the sequels to Wool were, like I said, if you could have watched. If you're okay with the amount of closure you get at the end of the first book, you don't have to read don't read the other two.
Yeah, I think Wool does the way Wool is structured is very clever, and this is maybe why it was successful as like sequential publishing, like publishing it in 5 parts over time. Is that it paints this really great world.
Well, it's very cliffhanger.
But it always great cliffhangers. You want to read the next part, and you want to. There's a very rich world, but also enough of it is set aside as mystery that you want to know. What really happened.
So the next two sets of books, the next two books, Shift and Dust, remove the curtains from that world.
Okay. And maybe you don't want to.
If you're okay with, if you want that, then go for it. If you don't, then don't.
Right.
I think either one is a perfectly reasonable way to go.
Yeah.
I thought that the second book was okay, and the third book was pretty good.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where I thought the second book kind of was a little bit longer than it should have been. I thought.
But I love the fact that these kind of books can find an audience now.
Yeah, this is a dude.
The whole vanity publishing thing. Finally, there used to be a whole predatory industry based on that.
Yeah.
I think it's now kind of gone away.
Here's the thing. There are probably thousands of books that are as good as Wool or better sitting in drawers at publishing houses that people submitted unsolicited manuscripts, and they were like, not reading this. First sentence sucks. Move on.
And publishers love it now because this whole indie...
I don't think they do.
Well, no, I think they love it in the sense that this whole indie marketplace can happen. The cream can float to the top, and then they can just come along and snatch it up.
Yeah.
You know, they can pick up a proven success. They may have to pay more for it, but then they have to put out a lot of stuff and go, well, let's hope the audience likes this. The audience has already kind of proven that this is something that people want to read.
That's definitely
50 Shades of Grey became, you know, for better or worse, became a hugely successful book in its own right through the Kindle, you know, ebook marketplace.
Yeah, ebooks, yeah.
And then Random House or whatever just came along and said, right, we'll have that.
Well, and so then they published the part that was difficult to, because they published paper versions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they also now presumably have the ebook rights as well.
See, so I think they published the paper versions of the Hugh Howey books, but they're not doing the ebook versions. I want to say the Hugh Howey book started as a November National Novel Writing Month thing.
Oh, really? I was curious about that, whether or not there'd ever been like a NaNoWriMo project that had actually ever gone on to be commercially successful.
It may not have been that, but I saw somebody doing it. I read an interview someplace that was a NaNoWriMo.
It would have to be something like that
success
because
story.
30 days to write. It's 30 days, 50,000 words, right?
I think that's the
asking
idea.
a lot.
It's like 1,500 words a day.
It's maxed out, and you know, I'm writing a book right now, and that's 1,500 words is a good day for me.
Yeah.
Anything over 1,000, I'm happy. 1,500, anything over 1,500 is gravy. But you know, sometimes some days it can be like pulling teeth. Sometimes you get more or less.
And you
but
read
to hit something that could be worth reading in that, you're just bashing it out. It's going to be crap because again, something good needs to be edited and rewritten, and you can't just bash out a first draft and hope that's good enough. What Hugh did, which was to write something more short form, make sure it was good, and then put it out.
Yeah,
was and again,
he did a lot of that. In fairness, there's a lot of Hugh Howey on the Amazon store right now.
Yes, but it's a good way. I'm almost kind of half considering it myself because like you could spend a year or more writing a really really long novel and putting so much of yourself into it, and then you put it out there and it just nobody wants it.
Yeah.
And you feel like you've wasted your time. You haven't because it's still great to create something.
Yes.
But you didn't get the success from it you wanted. Hugh dipped his toe in the water and said, well, here's a world, here's a story. I'm not going to commit too much to it. I've got more of it ready to go if you like it.
Yeah.
But perhaps you would like this first piece. And
people
lap it up. And so he
for it,
knows
yeah.
that he can continue to write, that the audience has already told him that it's validated.
Did you, have you read any John Scalzi stuff?
No,
Old
although I'm
Man's
a big fan
War.
of the feminist thing that he's been doing.
Yes.
But I hear he's very good.
He's awesome.
I wouldn't know what. Again, I would need a recommendation. Like if you're going to start.
So if you're
going to
start there, the places to start are Red Shirts is a standalone book. It's really fucking awesome.
Okay.
It's if you like Star Trek, you will like Red Shirts.
Is it based on Star Trek?
No, kind of. It's you know how Galaxy Quest is based on Star Trek.
So it's that. It's Star Trek, but it's not Star Trek.
Not Star Trek. Star Trek.
All right.
And then Old Man's War is like hard sci-fi Scalzi. Both are great.
All right. That sounds good. No, you've been sitting. Are you not reading? Do you not care about this sort of thing?
Just read occasionally, short stories.
But not your
We talked about all
bailiwick.
the stuff too, red shirts and stuff. We talked about this stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I guess that'll do it for us. Let's go get some lunch. See you guys. See you guys next week. I'm gonna fade to black.